Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I am your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 89 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, and any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show, share us around on social media, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choosing. Joining me today is my regular co-host, Steve Cook. Steve, how are you today, sir?
Oh, hey. I'm doing okay here on the very first day of the XFL version 2.
That's right. The XFL is back. I have it on in the background. LA leading Houston 8-6 so far. If you're curious on the Big Fox game.
Well, I take it that somebody strategized how to do their extra point.
Yeah, Houston went for 1 and failed, and LA went for 2 from the 5-yard line and made it.
Well, all right then. There you have it.
Apparently there's a 3-point conversion, too.
Ooh.
I'm assuming that's from the 10-yard line. I haven't seen one tried yet, but
I think it should involve the kicker running into the end zone.
There you go.
Yes. The kicker should have to be part of the play. He should be the quarterback or the receiver or the running back.
Fair enough. Before we get into today's stuff, Steve, I want to kind of throw out some future stuff for the show here. Actually, later on in this show, Ian Hamilton from Back Body Drop is going to join me. We're going to review New Japan Pro Wrestling New Beginning in Osaka. And next Sunday, Kevin Pantoja is going to join me again, and we're going to break down NXT TakeOver Portland. And closing out the month on the last day, Mark Radulich, former 411 MMA writer and podcaster, is going to join me to review the latest Saudi Mania show and the AEW Revolution pay-per-view to close out the month.
Mark is very big on the Saudi Arabian shows. I think it's because they usually feature MMA heavyweights and boxing heavyweights and just people he likes that are big, pretty much.
It could be.
Big in size.
So
he's a size guy.
That's right.
A body guy, I guess you could call him.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark will be joining me at the end of the month. Like I said, Kevin next week and Ian later in this show. So got some guests spread out throughout the month. We'll have a good time. And Steve and I have a couple things to discuss today. We are going to look back on some TNA like we did last time, and we'll get into that a little later. But right now, Steve, we're going to talk about possible changes to the WWE Network. And we talked heavily about the WWE managerial crisis heading into the fourth quarter financials call, the dismissal of Barrios and Wilson. And we were wondering what may be behind that, what were the big impasses. And coming out of this conference call, the big takeaway for me were that, first of all, Barrios and Wilson were the driving forces behind starting the WWE Network and really getting it launched. And it feels like coming out of this call and by everything Vince said, and we're going to get into more details, was that the future of the network really seems to me to be where this whole split came from. And basically, the feeling I have coming out of all this is Vince has had second thoughts on the network since the subscribers have stagnated. Just over 1.42 million subscribers. They haven't hit that 2 million mark and stayed there like they had hoped. So that seems to be the early thing, Steve. What are you thinking about the network, first of all, never really hitting that 2 million mark and staying there?
Well, it's, you had such a good selling point at $9.99, but then you had the even better selling point of, new subscribers get the first month free, and new subscribers get this month free and that month free. And it seems like, I think there are a lot of people out there that have access to WWE Network. They're not subscribers. Doesn't that kind of seem like a thing, Larry?
From everything I see online, yes.
Yes. Which, they're not the only people who have this problem, but I don't know. Other streaming services do fine. Netflix probably has a ton of that, and they don't seem to have any problems. And Disney Plus has a lot of people piggybacking, and I don't see any problems with that either. So, I'm a big network guy. I've had a network the whole time. You know how I love watching my old primetime wrestling shows, or how I just love watching the old school stuff in general. But it kind of got to the point where they stopped adding stuff for a very long time, and I think another thing that didn't quite help them as much as they had hoped was the fact of the matter of the current product. They probably thought that those pay-per-views / network events would be a bigger draw than they have been. And to be honest, outside of WrestleMania, and maybe throw Royal Rumble on that, and maybe SummerSlam if you want. Most of these events just aren't holding up there in the bargain. I mean, are you gonna subscribe to network just to watch Bragging Rights or Stomping Grounds or all those shows they produce that nobody seems to care about, that all seem like glorified episodes of Raw/SmackDown, and also a lot of which lasted like 8 hours for the past year or so.
Yeah, I think that is an extremely fair point. I think the fact that the main product hasn't been really hot, hasn't been really good. I think the other thing is that, we're looking at a landscape that has more streaming services now than ever. And it's a very much a pick-or-choose market. I mean, obviously you have your Netflix, you have your Hulu, you have your Disney Plus, and then, if you're getting Disney Plus, a lot of people are doing the bundle deal because it's only $13, and you're getting Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu. Mm-hmm. But you have all these streaming services out there. You have DAZN, ESPN Plus, like I said, Amazon Prime, the Peacock's going to be starting, CBS All Access. You have all these things. I find that if I'm looking at it honestly, I mean, obviously I'm a huge wrestling guy, but the WWE Network feels extremely expendable for the fact that it's a very niche thing because all you're getting is wrestling. You're getting WWE branded wrestling. It's not even like they're showing the WWE studio films on the WWE Network. It's not like you can get, not that anybody would want it, but I'm just throwing out as far as content, it's not even like you're getting the past XFL games for the first season. So, I mean, all you're getting is WWE branded wrestling, and if you're a family and you're investing in multiple streaming products, obviously the first things you're going to hit up for your family are things like Disney Plus and Netflix. And then if you're a combat sports fan, maybe you're getting that Disney Plus ESPN or Disney the Disney ESPN Plus and Hulu package, and maybe DAZN. So you're going to be picking and choosing, and I think when it comes to that, the WWE Network kind of gets really low on that list.
And I feel like we're getting to the point with all these streaming services where people are going to start missing cable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everybody's buying all these streaming services that are $9.99 or $10.99, $12.99, whatever it is. This stuff starts to add up.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and everybody, it's going to be so much better when we could just get a bunch of streaming stuff and it won't be as expensive. And, I mean, again, depending on it, because obviously you have to have an internet service to get this stuff.
That's
so you have to have a good internet service, and then, what are you going to have between 5 and 10 streaming services? I mean, and like you said, it adds up over time. Now, obviously, if you're, like I said, that Disney package is a really strong package because you get that, ESPN Plus and Hulu, and you can watch a lot of stuff on that. Obviously, a lot of people are to keep like a Netflix because, again, if you're buying for a family, there's tons of family entertainment stuff on there. There's something for everybody. So
that's the original too. The original one of these things is always. The original of anything always kind of has a pull on the marketplace.
Yeah.
Netflix was kind of the first one that got hot.
Yeah. So I think one of the big things is going into this and looking at everything from the call, it really feels like Vince regrets taking the big pay-per-views off of pay-per-view. Because they are now devalued, and it's not like you can...
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you could pop WrestleMania off the network and still do some solid buys with WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. But I don't think you'd be as lucky with the Rumble, SummerSlam, and a couple other shows.
No.
Because I think that they've been devalued because now everybody looks at them like they're only worth $10. And the other thing is I've talked about this all the time, like... The go-home show is like a myth in WWE now. Because
really
it's
is.
like, they do nothing to make these pay-per-views feel important. And I think, honestly, it has led to a lot of complacency in the booking of the TV product because, well, we got the network.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the only event they even try to build up anymore, I mean, as far as go-home shows, and it's WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the big stadium show. That's the one that all the old guys come back for, all the part-timers. And I think this generation of fans, and even us to an extent, we've been brought up to kind of realize now that as far as WWE goes, it only really matters when the part-timers are there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how they book the product. That's how they make it feel. So they haven't made the money on the network as they had hoped, and this is due to not hitting that 2 million average subs per year. And again, I think the company now feels that they've devalued their own pay-per-views, and they want to make more money, obviously, Steve. And, who can blame them? Everybody wants to make more money.
That's right.
That's right. And Vince, during the call, has teased transformational changes to the WWE Network. And this is all coming out of the fact that they have seen the huge TV rights they got for the next 5 years. And he knows that for whatever reason, despite the fact that the product isn't hot, and despite the fact that the product isn't exactly great, they're still making a shit ton of money, and they're going to be extremely profitable for the next 5 years with almost no effort put into it.
It's amazing. I mean, you got to figure some of these Fox executives watching these episodes of SmackDown, you got to be like, stuff with the dog food and all this nonsense they've been perpetrating on the audience past few weeks. You got to be thinking, we spent $1 billion on this?
You would think that there are some second thoughts there, man.
Man. Oh, gosh. That just seems crazy to me. But at the same time, when you look at it that way, like the networks are willing to fork over that amount of money for a product that isn't the best that's been ever, you can see why Vince might think, okay, let's see how much some streaming service or somebody's going to give up for my pay-per-views. Why not put them on the market and see what you can get? I don't blame for that.
And that's the thing. He sees those huge rights to TV got. He talks about being a content provider and selling for high fees. And the other thing is, I think he looks at specifically the deal that UFC got from ESPN.
Yeah.
To where ESPN bought the pay-per-view rights, and they're basically paying the UFC what they would make in a high year when Ronda and Conor were both fighting multiple times. So
apparently everybody's happy with it too. Like, I think ESPN's getting what they want out of it too.
Well, ESPN's thrilled now because the Conor fight just did $1 million.
Yeah.
And the thing is too is the thing with the ESPN deal is not only did they pay the UFC for the rights and that they grew the streaming service exponentially, but the other thing is when you get an UFC pay-per-view on ESPN Plus, it's not just that it's included on ESPN Plus. You still have to pay the $60.
Right.
But that's like the only way to get the pay-per-views. And on a lower end, Bellator got huge money from DAZN. And they're making more money now than ever and putting most of their big shows on DAZN. And that's included in the subscription fee.
Could you imagine if that Bellator heavyweight division was in its prime? If you had like Fedor in his prime, all those guys that like to bring in, they're way past their prime. Oh, that'd be good stuff.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny, but so I think he looks around and he sees all that. And the feeling I'm getting from the conference call, and again, I'm using the feeling I'm getting because there's nothing out there right now for sure. So it's a giant speculation phase right now. For me, it feels like that Vince is looking to take the WWE Network and change it to UFC Fight Pass and hope for a ESPN UFC model in 2020, which they said could be announced in the first quarter. And for those of you that don't understand quite what I'm explaining, UFC Fight Pass would hold all the extra events that used to be like on Fox Sports and stuff like that. They would have all these extra events, plus they had a bunch of shows from other smaller MMA promotions. And then the pay-per-views would pop on a couple weeks or a month later. And then they got the big ESPN deal to where they got the huge flat fee, so all the pay-per-views through ESPN Plus now. UFC is making gigantic money. So what it looks like to me, and the feeling I'm getting is that if Vince can sell the big pay-per-view rights, probably for your big four pay-per-views specifically, Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, maybe SummerSlam, those would be the four I would guess, and maybe a couple others like Money in the Bank or something like that. What it feels like is that they're going to go to a Fight Pass model to where those big pay-per-views, at the very least, are going to be on another streaming service, and they're going to get a huge rights fee for it. while the WWE Network is going to remain the old vault and have all the old stuff in it, it may hold some B pay-per-views and takeovers, and that we may finally see the long-rumored appearances of things like Evolve and Progress and ICW and anything else that they could lock into.
You know what? I mean, from my network viewing habits, that would be a win for me. That would be a win because I barely watch most of the pay-per-views these days, as it were, because most of them just don't interest me. I watch the Rumble, I watch kind of the bigger ones, but Stomping Ground, stuff like that doesn't really matter to me. I don't think I watch TLC or Hell in the Cell or whatever that stuff was. If they want to add on Progress or Evolve or whatever and keep it same price and keep the takeovers on there, pretty important to me. I like it.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing, though. I'm going to be interested to see how many people like that, because if you move the other big stuff to another streaming service that people will have to invest in, it'll be interesting to see how many people remain with the WWE Network as it is at a, let's be honest, it would be a lesser value for a lot of people. And now, again, there's going to be people like you, Steve, that, and I know a lot of people that all they watch on the network are old shit, old pay-per-views. They love when there's uploads of like primetime wrestling or whatever from the olden days in Mid-South and stuff like that. And they love all that stuff, and they may be interested by a Progress or an Evolve. And then, but outside of the old stuff, I know a lot of people that all they watch is like TakeOver.
Yeah.
Because TakeOver is fun and TakeOver is always great. And then they get their wrestling fix on the old stuff that they miss. So I'll be interested to see how that impacts the subscriber numbers, what price point they keep. I mean, are they going to keep the $9.99 and then move the pay-per-views off? What exactly is going to happen? What the structure is going to be? It's all very interesting. And again, it feels like that this whole shift in the possible future of the network is what led to Barrios and Wilson being dismissed, because apparently this is a very big Vince thing, and they were very steadfast on trying to grow the network as it was.
A lot of money involved there. A lot of money involved, and I know Wall Street does not like it when big time executives are let go, randomly without explanation. That's not Wall Street's. That's not what they like. Not what they like to hear. But and they're also worried about this whole XFL business. Let's be honest. Even though allegedly it's a separate company, not really. It's still Vince, and people worried about Vince being occupied by that instead of his pro wrestling. But I don't know. I think I feel a little bit better about it going forward than I did a few days ago.
I did like when they asked Vince about like if they had a succession plan. He's like, we're searching for the right exceptional person. He's like, but we have a great team around, and I have big shoulders.
That's right.
And he literally when I died. I'm like, geez. The other line that I died, that was great when he was talking about, he was talking about it's an exceptional opportunity to work for the WWE. Who wouldn't want to work for WWE?
Wow. Well, a lot of people do when you want to give them a big money contract for doing very little work. Absolutely.
The other good one is when they were asked about AEW, and he talked about, he's like, yeah, we're in competition on Wednesday nights. He's like, but we don't need to go to those extremes that they do. We're a very family-oriented PG product, and NXT is competing with them and doing very well.
Well, they're doing their job. They're taking some viewers off AEW, and that's all they really wanted out of that. So I don't fault him for. I don't think that sounds too ridiculous, because I don't know. I don't think he really expected them to be being AEW in the ratings. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I think they're doing their job of taking the viewers off of AEW, so that way AEW's not getting more viewers than Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, but they didn't stop AEW from getting a new long-term TV deal for good money.
No, they didn't do that. That's true.
I think part of it, if I'm Vince, I look at that partly as a failure, because he wanted to crush them within that first 6 months to a year.
Yeah, that's a fair point, but I don't know. And I think the other point was that some people were making that I guess AEW has done nothing to affect WWE's product, which, I mean, if you watch Raw and SmackDown, it doesn't seem like they're too worried about the competition.
Well, I mean, when you're making $2 billion over the next 5 years on TV deals, you really don't have to worry.
Darn right.
So, but as far as the network changes, Steve, I guess we need to look at potential suitors going forward. And obviously, I think if Fox wanted to start up something, they would be in the mix because they already have a relationship.
Yeah.
You have HBO Max. You have CBS All Access. You have Disney/ESPN Plus. Amazon Prime is always looking for stuff. Also rumored to be meeting with MLW, by the way, about a potential deal.
There you go.
Netflix, you would have to think, just because they're the kind of grandfather of everything. I would not rule out DAZN, because I believe DAZN is WWE's Japanese online partner. And
they have a lot of stuff in Canada. Like, they have a lot of content up north of the border.
Yeah, so DAZN, obviously combat sports oriented. There's been rumors that they've been looking into getting into wrestling. And then finally, what I think is the lead player because of big WWE ally Bonnie Hammer's involvement is obviously NBC's Peacock network, which is going to debut in April.
Yeah, you can never rule out an NBC Universal property as far as these negotiations things go. And definitely Peacock could use something like that. I know we're all excited about the Saved by the Bell reboot or the revival or whatever they're doing with that. I thought $9.99 was a little too much for the Saved by the Bell, but I mean, if you start putting WrestleMania on there, you might sway me. Not gonna lie.
There you go. So, and I think also the Bonnie Hammer thing, because she was obviously huge with securing WWE on USA for years, was always a big supporter of the product. She helped get Sci-Fi and ECW on Sci-Fi and stuff like that. So she's been a big WWE supporter. She sees the value in it. I would not be surprised if the Peacock Network is the end destination. But you look at it, it's very interesting. I don't blame them for trying it at all. Because, I mean, again, you're trying to make the most money possible, like with those TV deals. And how many times has Vince said, we're into content providing business. We create content.
Darn right.
And they're making money off it. They're making
money. From my personal perspective, I would prefer Amazon Prime or Netflix. Just from a personal perspective, I'm just saying. I mean, those are ones I have myself. So
I would agree with that. Actually, I have both of those as well. Would not argue with them popping up on there, but I think it's a very interesting time. And again, I feels like that is what led to the splits. So, because a lot of the other stuff we thought may be down way more wasn't down as much, like the network and stuff like that. Network did drop 10%, but it wasn't like it dropped to under 1 million or anything.
Yeah.
And but again, it's just a really interesting time, and it's a really interesting move for them to make. But I mean, and I'm not gonna. There's a lot of people that want to shit on it right away. But again, I think they're shitting on it because I have the network. I don't want to pay any more money for it. But if you're looking, and I understand that, I don't want to pay a lot more money.
Yeah, sure, makes sense. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're a business and you're the WWE and you're trying to make more money, I mean, I get it. It makes the most sense. Again, he looks at ESPN and what ESPN and the UFC did. He looks at DAZN throwing out money, and then he realizes that, we have this track record now because we got these big TV deals, and it feels like people are willing to pay for the product.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for trying to make the move. Now, and here's the thing, like, if they don't get a great deal, they're not going to take it. Because people are like, well, what if it's a shitty deal? Well, I don't think they're going to take a shitty deal because Vince doesn't want to alienate the people he has left buying the network.
Yeah, not unless he's getting a bucket full of money.
Yeah. If they're backing up the fucking Brinks truck like Fox did, yeah, he'll make the move.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you had to guess, Steve, I'm leaning Peacock right now. If I had to guess.
I'm going to Amazon Prime.
Okay.
I'm going to Amazon Prime because they were talking to MLW. And, anytime a wrestling company talks to somebody, I think Vince wants to shut it down. So I'm thinking Amazon Prime. And I even saw some speculation online from one of those economic dirt sheets that they were speculating that Amazon might even buy WWE one of these days.
Yeah, I saw that too. And you know what? There's always speculation because Vince has said over the past couple years that if the right deal came along, that nothing's out of the question.
Amazon's got the money. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, shit. He has fucking money in his couch probably, brother. I mean,
yeah, enough money in his couch by WWE and Vince's whole family. No doubt.
That's right. So, okay, so you're to pick Amazon Prime. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. It'll be interesting. So, Steve, last week we talked some old school TNA in our time covering TNA. Talked about the upcoming there's the one night only basically deal over Mania weekend. Gave some picks about some things we might like to see on that show. And we had some people that really enjoyed the old school TNA talk since we used to cover it so much.
It's fun.
And they asked for a little more. And I got a couple ideas from the people. And I thought what we might do is something that is kind of fitting in with the times since we have a little Wednesday night war going on. You know, there was a point where TNA was making a push, and they were, for the longest time, the number 2 company in the United States.
Yep.
They were a distant number 2, but they were number 2 nonetheless.
Still number 2 by cracky.
Exactly. So, and there was speculation for the longest time, and I remember you and I would debate this from time to time. You know, if TNA actually kind of manned up and decided they were going to go to Monday night and compete with Raw, could they, theoretically get bigger viewership because there would be interest like there was during the original Monday Night Wars? And, we always talked about that. We theorized it. And in January of 2010, Steve, TNA went to Monday nights. They went live. Hulk Hogan came into the company. Eric Bischoff was with him.
And all their rowdy friends.
That's right. And there were two schools of thought here. There was one school of thought, people were excited because we're going to get the second coming of the Monday Night War.
That's right.
And, that was an exciting time for a lot of people. And they were like, maybe we'll get it again. And then there was another group of people that were like, we might get that, but we're fucking getting Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff again.
Yeah, kind of the problem there. I remember I was pretty skeptical about it because, like you said, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff again. But at the same time, I've been writing about wrestling for several years at that point, and to be honest, I was getting kind of bored with the whole, WWE being the dominant guerrilla whole thing they had going on. I was hoping for something a little bit different to kind of shake things up, just to kind of make things more interesting for me. It's all about me, man. You know that.
And you know what, though? I completely agree with you, Steve. And I talked numerous times about how the launch of TNA honestly helped me stay a wrestling fan because I was hating shit for a long time. I hated that WCW died. ECW was gone. It was just WWE.
You mean Katie Vick and HLA didn't do it for you?
No, it did not, Steve. And I just... So, I started investing in the weekly TNA pay-per-views. And I found a lot of enjoyment out of a lot of that stuff. I found a lot of new people I really liked. And, we talked like AJ Styles, Low Key, Christopher Daniels, guys like that. America's Most Wanted early on, eventually Team Canada. And those early days of TNA also led me to checking out Ring of Honor and PWG. And that was a time to where I just started picking up more things to watch as much as I could.
Kind of slept on as a fun era, I would say.
Yeah. So, again, TNA, I give a lot of credit to for helping, kind of save my fandom in a lot of ways. So I went into this, I won't say optimistic, but I was hopeful. Hopeful that it would cause something really great. And, obviously the TNA roster had a ton of talent. We'll talk about some of them as we're going to go back and do a retro review of TNA Impact from January 4th, 2010, the big Monday night debut.
Yeah.
And again, a time to where we were hoping for a lot of good things.
Did we get them?
We will tell everybody at the end.
Yes, we will.
We had Bubba the fucking Love Sponge outside interviewing TNA fans to kick off the show, which was already a bad omen because it was Bubba the Love Sponge, and I don't see how anybody ever thought that dude was any good at his job.
Boy, and that Bubba and Hulk connection didn't go away, did it? We heard more and more about that. We heard a lot more about that further down the road than we wanted to.
I was going to say more than anybody ever wanted to, brother.
Oh, man. I just remember Bubba out there talking about hot 21-year-olds. So it's okay, all right. And they're all talking about how they wanted to see the old school blood and violence, and they want all the old school stuff.
That's
Hulk
right.
Hogan, brother.
So the show started off with the Steel Asylum match. Now, for those of you that don't know about this, the Steel Asylum match was a giant cage that surrounded the ring. It had a rounded top, and the goal of the match was to escape the cage through climbing through the little hole in the top. This was an X Division special match, and this match involved a ton of talent, Steve.
A lot of good talent in this
We had
match.
Homicide, obviously, like the kind of looked at as the godfather of the New York indie scene.
He made New York, as
Yes.
Eddie Kingston will tell you.
We had Kiyoshi, who for a brief time played Suicide. Jay Lethal, obviously a great talent, long-running ROH champion. Consequences Creed, who you guys now know as Xavier
Woods, yes,
thank
sir.
you. I was looking at fucking Twitter for a minute and got distracted. But he was really great in TNA. Alex Shelley, which Steve and I have sang his praises tons of times. Chris Sabin, X Division
Machine
standout.
Guns, yes.
And again, we've talked about you have a wacky X Division match that you need to deliver. You throw the machine guns in there.
Jay Lethal is Black Machismo at this point, by the way.
Yes, and then we had Suicide in there.
Would he have been? Was this when Suicide was? Kazarian or Daniels? It's Kazarian, I think.
I think it was Kazarian, and then we had the Amazing Red, who
Current,
early
the X-Division
2000,
champion at that point.
early 2000 indie standout. A guy that a lot of people thought and hoped would be the next Rey Mysterio got slowed by injuries and bad booking.
Just a fun guy, though.
Yes, but has made a comeback as of late and was doing good things in 2019. So, anyway, this is Escape Through the Cage. It's it's cage match, so you're thinking anything goes for the most part. And in theory, this is a great way to open the show because you're introducing fans to a new gimmick. You're introducing them to a ton of talent. Except that this fails when you go 3 minutes and do a no contest because Homicide breaks out a baton and beats the shit out of everybody.
Not to mention that the cage was red and you couldn't see anything through it.
That did not help.
You really couldn't see most of the action. The fans couldn't see a damn thing. I mean, we had a camera where we could see a little bit of what's going on, but it's an 8-man match that goes 4 minutes and 30 seconds according to Pro Wrestling Fandom here, which that sounds longer. That sounds longer than it felt like, but yeah, just a mess. Anytime a steel cage match ends with a no contest due to Homicide beating people up with a baton is pretty ridiculous.
And then Homicide tries to climb out of the cage and
oh gosh, yes, Homicide tries to climb out of the cage and fails miserably, so they'll have to wake up and start doing shit again.
So it's a giant fucking disaster, and that leads to Jeff Hardy, fresh off of his WWE departure, while they were hyping a Jeff Hardy DVD, by the way, coming out through the crowd, brawling with Homicide, and standing tall. All of your X Division guys don't mean shit because Jeff Hardy's here.
Homicide taking nice steel chair shots ahead, by the way, because I remember I pointed that out because somebody, I think it's a hot 21-year-old that wanted to see steel chair shots to the head. So there you have it.
There you go.
Yeah. So the ladies like those stiff chair shots.
In theory, it was a good way to start things. In execution, it failed abysmally.
Miserably. Just a complete and utter mess. Just not good.
They informed us that Hulk Hogan was on the way, and you'd think that since the dude's running the show, he probably should be there already.
Yeah, seriously. That's a little silly.
Get a Kevin Nash promo where he basically talks about Hulk Hogan mentoring him and smartening him up to the business. And
I thought Shawn Michaels did that.
Yeah. Just a very insider NWO Kevin Nash promo.
Christy Hemme was feeling it, though.
Yeah, well, there you go. One of the few bright spots in the early portion of the show.
Christy Hemme.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Had the Knockouts Championship on the line, Steve. Champion Tara defending against ODB.
Yeah.
Again, we're throwing a title match on early on. I don't think that's a bad idea. People knew Tara from her time in WWE. You're introducing ODB theoretically to a new audience. You do the title change to ODB in 3 minutes and 30 seconds, where they cut away from the pin because apparently Tara's ass crack was showing.
There's some blurrage going on the old on the video I saw, but which probably would have been the highlight of the match. Let's be honest. It was a match that was just kind of there, unfortunately.
It was a bad match, Steve. It was fucking horrible.
It wasn't great.
I mean,
not a great showcase for anybody involved.
Again, part of it was that they only got 3.5 minutes, and you don't got a lot of time, obviously, but it was not good.
Bad times, and yeah. I have no idea. Was ODB the babyface? Was Tara the babyface? Didn't matter really. Probably not.
I think ODB was supposed to be the babyface here.
And she used Tara's tights to win, which is what good babyfaces always do with Vince Russo booking.
Dude, she's one dirty bitch. What do you expect?
Fair. Although that makes me realize we probably shouldn't eat out of her food truck.
Yeah.
Probably a bad idea.
So Ric Flair arrived.
We forgot to mention the tarantula, by the way. There was a tarantula sighting. Because Tara had a tarantula.
That's right, and she did a tarantula during the match.
There you have it.
That's right.
But I had to cut off Ric Flair because that's more important.
That's right. Ric Flair arrived, and then Mick Foley was apparently not allowed in the building. He tried to get in, but he backed down. And
well, apparently the thing leading into this, Mick Foley had become the executive shareholder.
Yeah.
Like he said, I guess he bought the most TNA stock, which, I don't know what Mick Foley is thinking in that regard, but
there's a reason he went back to WWE.
Exactly. Yeah, he had some financial problems he ran into buying stock in this company. But I mean, and prior to this, we had a whole run where Mick Foley actually won the TNA championship and tried to have matches.
That's probably a good descriptor. Yeah.
Yeah, he tried. Then probably less we say about that, the better.
So Bobby Lashley and his wife appeared.
The boss, Bobby Lashley. Let's
That's
be clear.
Right. They ran down the wrestling fans as inbred, toothless degenerates. And basically, Bobby Lashley wanted out of TNA so he could go make real money in MMA. So yes, the big angle here introducing Bobby Lashley to this audience was him saying, this company pays worse shit and I don't want to be here anymore.
Boy, the fans were really happy to see Bobby too until Crystal started talking.
Yeah.
And Bobby still has women talking for him, doesn't he?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, he's really progressed.
So, in a truly Monday Night Wars Vince Russo-esque moment, the beautiful people were playing strip poker in an angle I don't think went anywhere later in this show.
It kind of did, but not really. There was some stuff. They had some other segments. Somebody showed up, and somebody talked to Mick Foley. Well, it kind of led to something, but not really. It didn't lead to anything. It didn't lead to them getting naked, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, well, there you go. Hulk Hogan is still coming to the building at some point. He's still not there. He is a horrible boss. Scott Hall and Sean Waltman were trying to get into the building. Apparently, they're not on the list. I don't know about you, Steve. I think they were trying to sell them as some form of outsiders here.
Huh. I'm wondering who was on this list. I mean, if Mick Foley's not on the list, if Scott Hall and Sean Waltman are on the list, who the heck's on the list?
The beautiful people were on the list.
Well, okay, that's a fair point. I don't blame him for that.
So, there's a weird scene where, someone's leaving in a limo and someone gets into it, but you don't really see who the hell it is. Total fucking Nitro moment.
Yeah, it's just kind of a mess.
And then Hulk Hogan finally arrives.
There were several minutes of this Hulk Hogan arriving business, too. They had to show the limo driving. They'd show Tanay and Taz talking, and eventually he arrived.
That's right.
But I'll tell you, my favorite part about Hogan just arriving is about he starts talking about how he spent all day backstage talking to the boys in the back. Cool. So, which means that Hogan was there, he left, and then he came back.
I was going to say, that's a big backstage area if it took him that long to get to the building.
I mean, seriously. Did he go out for fucking dinner in the middle of, right before the show started?
He went back and crushed a case of beers with his buddies in the limo, probably, like he did in his Nitro days.
Well, can't say I blame him for that, to be honest with you.
So he came on and gave the big rah-rah speech. TNA as the best wrestlers, brother. We're going to be #1 in the world, brother.
Yeah.
And then we have Waltman and Hall jumping the rail.
Did a better job getting in than Foley did.
Yeah. They at least they didn't have entrance music like Jeff Hardy.
No. They now if Scott Hall and Sean Waltman had sung their entrance music like Jeff Hardy did, that would have been pretty cool.
So Hulk lets him in the ring because they're good brothers, and he decides to let Scott Hall talk on the mic.
Oh, that's always a wonderful idea.
Scott Hall was here for the party and the money, brothers, like back in the day.
At least he's honest.
Hulk said that's not the attitude that they have now, and says it's time for him to grow up and do the right thing for the business.
Brother.
And it's just like, whatever. Nash joins the party, tries to call off his pals, and Hulk says, like, we're all here for a change, and I'm not playing a role, brother. I was like, at this point, I have no clue what the fuck they're really talking about.
But don't worry, because things are about to become crystal clear.
Oh, yes, I know. But it's like we're trying to be inside, and we're trying to let you know that we're not going to do the same shit, but you really know we're going to do the same shit we used to do. Which leads to Eric Bischoff coming out.
Absolutely.
He joins Hulk Hogan at his side. He's like, everyone here has to earn their spot. Nobody's given nothing. That's right. This is change. And then Steve Cook. Hang on. In a moment of originality, Eric Bischoff rips up the format sheet. That's right. We're going off script, Steve.
It's like he's goddamn Nancy Pelosi or something.
I know. It's like, it's sure. It was like 20 minutes long. It was the biggest waste of time after a slew of backstage nonsense segments that did nothing. And all I could think of was, yep, it's Nitro 2.0 right now.
Well, speaking of Nitro 2.0, all these old fucks that were in the ring during the segment, they weren't the only the Nitro citizens that were out in the building at that point.
I guess, man.
Because Larry Csonka, we pan up to the rafters and we see Sting.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck. I totally left that out of the notes. That's right.
Well, it's so unimportant. He did nothing the rest of the show. He's just hanging out up there, chilling out.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's not going to be like back in the day, brother.
Oh, okay.
Sting kind of gets slept on, I think, for, making money for a year and a half while just sitting in the rafters the whole time.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. That's good working, brother.
Damn right it is.
So we went back and we finally got a match. It was the Knockout Tag Team Championship match. Sarita and Taylor Wilde versus Awesome Kong and Hamada.
It was actually a good match.
It was like 9.5 minutes. It was a little sloppy. It was all right. It was better than the fucking opener in the women's match that preceded, that's for sure.
So far as obviously match of the night.
Yeah. And they switched the titles to Kong and Hamada, and it's like, okay, that's fine. We have women's tag team wrestling and titles. That's cool.
Of course, we go right from these women to some other women.
Sean Morley,
yes,
arrives and joins the poker game with the beautiful people.
Oh boy! When was the last time you had any use for Sean Morley?
I think the only reason I would have use for him now is apparently he runs a weed dispensary.
Well, that's on brand, yes. I was going to say, the last time I had use for Sean Morley was before the Val Venus character got old, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I never had use for Chief Morley or anything else he did after that.
So, Mick Foley is still trying to get in the building, can't get in.
Of course not.
The Nasty Boys are trying to get into the building, and apparently they're not letting either.
Now, you might have to answer this question for me, because I was not 100% sure, and they weren't identified on camera or anything. Was that Gunner and Murphy?
It might be. I didn't really pay attention to the security guys. Were they in the red shirts?
I don't remember. Yeah, I didn't. I was trying to remember if they were Gunner and Murphy, because, of course, Murphy is in the news these days. Because Murphy is now one half of the Raw Tag Team Champions.
I'm not your buddy, pal.
I mean, I get the... No, actually, I don't get the outrage. I don't, because we're really attached to Buddy.
Well, it's not just that. It's just... I think it's just stupid that they're constantly changing and cutting people's names for absolutely no reason.
You don't think Murphy's going to get over the chant like Goldberg did?
Well, Murphy's fine. It's just I don't understand, like, why did they wait this long to change it?
Actually, you know what? They should shorten up even more and just call him a Murph.
Sure.
Like he's from Boston, you know?
I don't know, man. It's so stupid. They're always wanting to cut people's names off. And then they randomly give it back. Like, Mustafa Ali was Ali for a couple months, then he got Mustafa back. Apollo Crews was just Apollo for a while, then he got his last name back. Rusev is still looking for Alexander. Can't find him.
Who knows what Rusev is looking for? Jesus.
Yeah. We went back to the ring, Steve, for some enthralling action. Matt Morgan and Hernandez versus Raven and Dr. Stevie. 30-second match. Matt Morgan hit the carbon footprint and killed Stevie.
You know, Raven and Stevie have definitely been a fine combination back in the ECW days.
Sure.
I've been fine. Yeah, this was nothing. The best part is Raven tripping while getting to the ring.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Not his finest night. You know what?
He's had a lot of rough nights, too.
What cracks me up is, like, when I'm watching, like, reviewing Impact, I watch on Twitch most of the time, and they always inlay, like, classic TNA moments in between, right? And they always do, like, a specific throwback clip, but, like...
Did they use this?
No, but
okay,
they use something even better. Shane Douglas and Raven in the hair match.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and fucking Raven getting scalped for 5 minutes by Jim Mitchell with the sheep shears.
Not to mention before that, Shane Douglas throwing up in Raven's mouth was really fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think they couldn't have paid Raven enough for that night.
So backstage, the Pope D'Angelo De Niro was going to cut a promo, and Orlando Jordan, of all fucking people, interrupt him.
Along with his 5-hour energy bottle.
And apparently we were supposed to think Orlando Jordan was a big star, but nobody knew really who he was, and Taz was like, hey, that's Orlando Jordan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That led to a stellar feud between the Pope and Orlando Jordan that sold out arenas across the country.
Main event anywhere in the world, brother.
That's right.
Next up, the Pope was in action, facing off with Desmond Wolfe, who is, for many of you that may not know, is Nigel McGuinness, who had a really great TNA run until he had to retire.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great TNA run there for a few months, and then he kind of fell off the table pretty quickly. This
went 3 minutes, yeah. And the Pope won with a fluke roll-up.
And fans were chanting, "This is wrestling" during it somehow. I don't know what the hell they were watching.
Well, maybe
they're looking at the ring and they saw two guys in it, so they started yelling, "This is wrestling."
I think they were just excited that they got to see some wrestling.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it'd been a few minutes.
It was, like I said, it was 3 minutes. It was what it was. It was kind of sad because, listen, Pope is a good talker, and like we see it now, he's doing NWA shows. He was a guy that really underachieved in WWE and TNA. Meanwhile, we're going to put him over Desmond Wolfe because Desmond Wolfe is really good. And this was part of that thing, like, Bischoff and Hogan did not like Desmond Wolfe. There was
that out later.
There was that time where he won the fan vote to be the number one contender.
Oh, yeah.
And then because they were mad, they jawed them out on TV really quick. Yeah. So they could name somebody else the top contender.
That's right. Oh, man, that was something else. And I don't even have a problem with the idea of Desmond Wolfe putting the Pope over because, I mean, you know, Pope's a charismatic guy. You get some mileage out of him, and yeah, sure, put him with a good wrestler that can bump for him and whatnot. But yeah, when you're doing that barely over 3 minutes and fluke roll-ups, that doesn't get the job done.
So we find out that Rhino has been attacked by a mystery man backstage.
Yeah.
I was hoping that the format sheet pulled itself together and beat the shit out of him.
Well, apparently, I mean, Bubba Love Sponge Ramley showed up, and apparently the machine guns got attacked earlier too, which I don't know if you saw that, but I did not see that when I was going through the show.
No.
Did that happen, or did I just miss that part?
I don't remember it, dude, at all, honestly.
I mean, it might have happened. We wouldn't remember it.
So Jeff Jarrett was like randomly wandering around backstage as well.
Yeah, why not?
AJ Styles was starting to cut a promo to talk about his pay-per-view match with Kurt Angle, but Eric Bischoff arrived and said he's defending against Kurt tonight because we ripped up the format, fucker.
That's right. I remember the format. I remember kind of vaguely the match listing they had for the show at the top of the show. And I remember kind of balking because they had the Steel Cage X Division thing to open the show. And they had also hyped 6 Sides of Steel with, I think it's British Invasion and, gosh, who were they? Who was it Beer Money? Yeah, it was Beer Money.
I think so.
And I was like, and since I wasn't thinking, I was like, okay, you're going to have a steel cage match and a steel cage match. That's going to take a long time to set up, I don't know. But hey, it didn't happen, so what the hell?
I don't know. So, let's see. We have Jeff Jarrett making his return. He starts putting over all the TNA talent and all the homegrown things and talking about how everything can happen. Hulk Hogan obviously interrupts because it's his show now, brother. He starts playing heel right away, pointing out that Jeff Jarrett drove the company into the ground until Dixie Carter saved it. You know what? In Jeff's defense, technically untrue. Health South pulled out, and then Dixie Carter and her parents saved the company. Just want to defend Jeff slightly. I'm not saying he did a lot of great things, but he didn't run it into the ground.
Jeff did a lot of great things. Who are you to doubt the founder of TNA? JEFF, JORRETT.
So
smart. What a smartest man in wrestling right there.
Yeah, so obviously setting up Jarrett and Hogan stuff right away. Yay!
Yeah, because that's. I remember the speculation at the time where this whole thing, Jarrett's speech was supposed to be this heel speech, but apparently it didn't work out that way.
Well, how is he supposed to be a heel speech when he's putting over the homegrown TNA talents?
Apparently he was. Well, I guess what they were saying was he's supposed to put himself over a little bit more. Like, it's my sort of such thing. It's me, that kind of thing. That was the speculation, the rumor, if you will, made to cover up the fact that Hogan just came off like a freaking heel.
I guess. Christopher Daniels was going to be interviewed, but he got interrupted, of course.
Yeah, how about that? A Daniels sighting.
Yeah, everybody gets interrupted tonight. Mick Foley demands a meeting with Hulk Hogan. Sure.
Yeah.
Had Abyss versus Samoa Joe. Went 4 minutes, 52 seconds. Samoa Joe won.
They really hyped that up as a dream match on commentary, though.
It was a match.
It was a match, yes.
It was with all due respect to Abyss, who did a lot of nice things I liked in TNA, it was a 1-star match, and that 1-star was Samoa Joe.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I didn't mind the idea of this. Just a nice, clean match to put Joe over.
Yeah. This was supposed to be Abyss versus Rhino, but the format got ripped up, and then Rhino got his ass beat.
Yeah.
So, sure. And now Crystal was demanding a meeting with Hulk Hogan on behalf of Bobby Lashley, interrupting Eric Bischoff. It's like, why? It's like, is this all we're doing tonight?
Pretty much.
It feels like there's 137 angles going on at the same time right now.
That's what they're doing, pretty much. And for his part, Eric Bischoff was okay with Bobby Lashley chasing his dreams in MMA.
Yeah. So, we had Beer Money. We found out they're off the show.
They got laid out by the mystery people.
Yep.
Man,
and
person,
Bubba
sister,
the Love
whatever.
Sponge let the Nasty Boys in the building.
Because Bubba's got a stroke around here.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't be talking about Bubba's stroke?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. That's probably not necessary.
Kurt Angle talked about his match with AJ Styles for tonight. He actually got to finish a promo, which was a rarity.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Tell who the star is around here.
Jeff Hardy and Shannon Moore got mobbed by girls. It was like 4 people, but I guess it's a mob.
That was as good as they could do.
Yeah.
Was there ever anything that came of those manila envelopes they're carrying?
I don't remember, honestly, dude.
Were they possibly the pictures the baby doll had on Dusty Rhodes?
They could be.
Possibly.
All right, so it's like the Nasty Boys are in. They start, I guess they were like throwing fucking donuts around or some bullshit. Who the fuck knows?
They were in Team 3D's locker room, which I was impressed that Team 3D got their own locker room.
Oh, I mean,
they even had a freaking picture of Devon there. And it got spray painted because you know how much I love things getting spray painted.
That's right. So we close things off with the TNA World Champion AJ Styles defending against Kurt Angle, Steve. The only thing worth going out of your way to watch on this show, I will tell you guys.
Yeah, very much.
AJ Styles retained the title in around 22 minutes with the 450. And it's like, you know, if there were 137 segments on this show, this was the lone good one. I thought it was a pretty much a really great TV match, honestly. I mean, it's Kurt and AJ. You give them 20 minutes. Unless you do a bunch of stupid fuckery, it's going to be really good. Really,
speaking of stupid fuckery, yeah. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Because during the match, we had a masked man come in to attack AJ. And apparently that was something that had been going on for a while. And Kurt Angle took him out just to avoid getting disqualified in his like nice little sportsmanship moments or whatever. I don't remember the answer to this question. I mean, but what became of that masked man?
Honestly, Steve, I don't remember.
Did that end up being anybody that AJ Styles had a previous history with? Was it in fact the Black Scorpion?
I'm going to say it was the Black Scorpion just because I don't remember.
I
seriously don't. I probably should have tried to look
these old shows. It's great when you watch these old shows and you just come up on these random angles. You just like, what the hell happened? I have no idea.
So, but yeah, I mean, again, a pretty great TV match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. AJ and Kurt, like I said, you give them 20 minutes, and unless there's a bunch of stupid shit going on, it's going to deliver. I really liked it. Again, if you were to go back to the show, yeah, you can watch this. I'd probably skip the rest. And then we closed with a WCW NWO moment. We had a big giant brawl at the end of the show. Mick Foley gets laid out. Everybody gets their ass beat. And apparently this was Hulk Hogan's big idea of a fresh start, which was a angle from Nitro in 1996 with about 2% of the star power.
Yeah, well, and we can't forget, though, that we had to make sure that once Angle and Styles' match was over, Hulk Hogan had to walk out onto the entranceway to congratulate them and put them over.
Of course, because it's all about me, brother.
And then he had to get distracted by something. He had to run backstage to make sure we forgot about Angle and Styles. So we get Mick Foley and the whole business, and that was where he walked in on the strip poker, and nobody was naked, and yeah. And Morley kind of sent him down to his office with Bischoff and all that nonsense that happened afterwards. Yeah, good times.
Oh,
I know, I was excited. Oh boy.
So you look back on this show, and I remember I didn't like the show at the time, Steve. I was excited going in because I was really hopeful. I was hoping it would bring some good things. I was hoping that TNA would draw good audiences. I was hoping that it could sustain them. I was hoping it could lead to a bigger TV rights thing. I was hoping that it could lead to them actually making money on the road.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this was a horrendous start to the Hogan-Bischoff regime. It was a dated show in 2010. It felt about 14 years out of date.
Yep.
It was not good. Again, it's just, there's so much. It was 137 angles going on, people constantly getting interrupted. One good thing on the whole damn show, which was the main event.
I'll give the women's tag match a little bit of love.
It was
at least 1.5. Yeah.
I'll give it credit.
I'm being generous.
It wasn't bad like pretty much everything else.
Yeah, I would say 2. I mean, I'm not saying it was the greatest match of all time, but there were 2 high spots, I guess. And to prove that we're not just kind of talking out of our ass about how bad the show was, the TNA Monday night ratings peaked with this by a pretty wide margin and fell off a cliff afterwards.
Yeah, but
fell off a cliff.
I was extremely hopeful, Steve. I was really, really hoping it was going to lead to great things. And unfortunately, it didn't. And to further the point of how it didn't lead to great things on Mondays, it lasted, 8 to 10 weeks, I think?
About. Something like that.
It didn't last long. It got shuffled off. But the worst part of it was that Hogan and Bischoff snake oil salesman their way into so much power that they cost the company millions of fucking dollars. Because they pushed the Monday thing. They pushed for more live events in bigger buildings that they couldn't fill that cost too much money.
And big contracts for their friends.
Yeah. So it all worked out horribly. And like I said, I remember watching the show at the time. I was not a fan of the show at the time. Oh, quick XFL update. 18-17, Houston over LA at the half.
Whoa.
Humdinger right now. But, yeah, I mean, it led to not good things. It just kind of I was starting to fall off a cliff, and, you know, things honestly never got better there, and they eventually were off spike. Had the Destination America era, which that went horribly wrong, and then you had the Pop TV era, and then you had what the fuck was that channel they were on?
The Pursuit channel.
Yes, the Pursuit. Thank you, God. The Pursuit channel, which 13 people received. Yeah. And they had to put the show on Twitch, which at least people could watch it then. And then, you know, their daddy bought Anthem TV Anthem bought Access TV so that they could have TV.
Dixie's daddy, Anthem, it's all the same. Yeah.
So, but no, it's just it honestly was something I was really hoping that was going to work out for something great, and it didn't. Like I said, I didn't like this show at the time, but goddamn, going back, it feels even worse now.
I tell you, it's the third time I've watched this show, and it has gotten worse every single time. Yeah, it does not age well.
And again, I think, Steve, I think that we're going to agree, it's not bad because of the talents that were involved. The show's booking was just utter shit, gave nobody a chance to shine other than AJ and Angle.
Yeah.
Like, everybody getting almost no time, 3-minute bullshit, Orlando Jordan popping up, Sean Morley popping up, the Nasty Boys popping up, Hall and Nash and Big Kev all showing up.
And even with the AJ and Angle thing, you still had Hogan coming by to take their heat and then kicking to the other bullshit with all their old buddies.
Oh, it's just...
So you didn't get that long to shine.
Yeah, so again, like I said, you go back and you look on it. It was a show that I think it gave people hope going into it. Because I think as wrestling fans, and like you said specifically, you, Steve, you wanted something other than WWE. You wanted competition. You wanted something to thrive.
Yeah.
And we were excited going in, man. I remember. I was like, this is fucking cool. It's like, and I've said over the Monday Night Wars weren't fucking perfect. There was a lot of shit during the Monday Night Wars. But overall, it was an exciting fucking time.
Yeah, but I think about 3 hours into this, we kind of realized, well, that ain't it, Chief.
Yeah, and it's because they were booking like a bad 1996 version of WCW in 2010, and they weren't even doing the good WCW stuff.
No.
So, it was bad, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, next time we'll have to watch something a little bit better. Yeah. Or at least something that's bad in a comedic sense.
So, but if you guys have any suggestions for something you would like Steve and I to watch, it can be TNA or whatever. If it's on the WWE Network, obviously that's a bonus because, we both have that. But hit us up with suggestions. We will take them and try to fit it in at some point because I like doing the occasional retro review. I find them to be fun. And even though this one sucked, it was fun to look back on the time frame.
There's fun things to talk about, that's for sure.
So, but that's going to wrap up this portion of the show, Steve. You'll be back Wednesday night with me because we're going to obviously review AEW and NXT, and then we're going to preview the NXT TakeOver show.
Yeah, TakeOver Portland.
So that'll be a good time, and you guys just hold tight for a few seconds, and I will be back with Ian Hamilton to talk the New Japan Pro Wrestling New Beginning in Osaka 2020. All right, welcome back. Second half of the show. I am joined by the returning Ian Hamilton of BackBodyDrop.com. Ian, how are you, sir?
Hey, Larry, not too bad, thanks. Braving Storm Kiara over here in the UK. A lot of heavy winds and rain, but, Yeah, power stayed on. Managed to see quite a good show from New Japan this morning.
Yeah, and we are going to break down the New Japan New Beginning in Osaka 2020 show from the sold out Osaka Joe Hall, and very happy about that. Obviously for New Japan, they were very thrilled, I'm sure, running the bigger building. So that's always good news to start things off.
Yeah, I mean, typically it's the Edion Arena they run. I think that's about 6,000 capacity. They announced, I think Voice Wrestling quoted 11,400 and change. So getting twice the crowd. I mean, I know we both commented on those Road 2 shows during the week that Korakuen was far from full, but if you're taking 3 Korakuens with 200-300 people less a week in exchange for 6,000 to 11,000 in Osaka, I know what I would take. And I'm sorry, I'd rather sit through a less than full Korakuen Hall if I'm going to get twice as many people for the big show it all leads to.
Exactly, and from what I remember, I think the Sapporo shows did well. I don't believe they were sellouts, but they did well. And yeah, the Korakuen shows were a little down this week. And then, but yeah, like you said, it's a good trade-off if you're going to almost double your normal Osaka show. So, I mean, I don't see that as a huge problem. We'll see how the rest of Korakuen draws later in the month with the Tiger Hattori and Nakanishi retirements and stuff like that. And but yeah, it's obviously they're running like 8 shows total or something in Korakuen this month, or 7 or...
Yeah, it's about 7 this month, and obviously we've got the run a bit late. Things starting a week on Wednesday. Tiger Hattori's farewell, then to generic New Japan rolls Thursday, Friday, then the Nakanishi retirement show on the Saturday. So, yeah, by the end of it, that Korakuen Hall is going to feel like one of those indie venues you see WrestleMania weekend, where every bloody show just seems to come from.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, other people also run Korakuen, so it's just like it's a busy time right now, a loaded month for action. But yeah, I think overall, before we get into this, I think overall the New Beginning tour was I'd call it a success. I think we got a lot of great shows. I thought a lot of the Road 2 stuff, I mean, yeah, it's not like great, and I know people like to easily hand wave it and run it down, but I do think there was a lot of good stuff on those shows. Like the 6-man trios match was really good. A couple of the elimination matches I really enjoyed, and I thought they most importantly, I think they did their job. And then like the Sapporo shows before that, though, I really enjoyed because we had a lot of great wrestling on those.
I mean, you look, those first Sapporo shows you were looking, last weekend had the 2 of them. So you've also had this in line with the USA tour, which, depending on the venues, the less said, the better. Obviously, it was the last weekend in Atlanta. You had the IWGP heavyweight tag titles change hands, which, we can talk about when we get the 8-man tag on the show, but there's something about that move doesn't sit well with me. In fact, we've talked about this before. We built up the World Tag League where me, you, and maybe one other person watched the whole damn thing. You paid off the Wrestle Kingdom, and then barely a month later, we hit the big old reset button.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. But New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Beginning in Osaka 2020. We started off with the Dads and Friends Tag Team match. Big Nakanishi, Tenzan, Kojima, and Nagata facing off with Makabe, Honma, Hinari, and Taguchi. Team Nakanishi won 720. I thought they had a perfectly little solid opener and Dad's match. Nothing to complain about, really. I don't know, man. I still think they're missing a chance on giving Hinari a big win here, man. I just think it would have been a good time because it's a bigger show and it's obviously all the dads are in there and everybody loves them. Would have been a nice win for him, but Team Nakanishi got the win so he could give a little thank you promo in his last night in Osaka Joe.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting that if they do put Hinari over, it will be a farewell match. As we sit here, the cards of those shows haven't been announced, so it could be. I don't think we're not going to get a one-on-one match. I'd be shocked if it was a singles match. But yeah, I think we've said for a while now. Nakanishi, I remember we were talking after Wrestle Kingdom. He looked to be in massive discomfort, and then obviously, 2-3 days later, he announced retirement. There's those gifts from the Korakuen shows during the week where he just looked to be in all sorts of pain just walking. And to me, that's a worry. I mean, he's been like that for a while where he's literally having to cling on to the guardrails just to get to the ring. And I mean, we've joked, the last few big shows, there have been the kind of like the ramp level entryway, and you can see in his eyes he is absolutely hating that setup. But yeah, I mean, it's a match. Yeah, it's the usual, dads and lads stuff. These kind of matches can really toss a coin because, out for 8 men of the match, it's only going to be Hinari who's really going to have any kind of long future or push coming out of this. Taguchi, they can take or leave, if you suppose we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, it's the usual stuff going for the greatest hits. In there just over 7 minutes, wasn't too long to defend or to drag, and yeah, the Nakanishi farewell to continues.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, is that it obviously didn't overstay its welcome, and like you said, they played the hits, and that's, I mean, honestly, I don't get when people complain about that, because I mean, do you really want to see much more from Tenzan other than like the Mongolian chops and the mountain bomb and the occasional rare moonsault? I mean, you really don't. I mean, Kojima obviously has a little more go in his game, so I like seeing some Kojima. Same with Nagata. But I mean, yeah, it's just like, let them do their thing. I mean, Makabe works a match. He doesn't take any bumps. Hanma, I mean, we could get rid of him, honestly. Hinari, I like him a lot. And I like Taguchi for what he does. I mean, he's the comic relief, but I mean, there are times also when he can still go. So it's just, yeah, it's no complaints from me.
I mean, you're looking for those 8 guys in that match, a combined age of just under 400, 350, 400 years old. What are you expecting when you've got a combined age that high? And really, the fact that they're able to move, let alone put anything on that's, competence is the wrong word, but watchable, I guess, probably the better phrase for it. That's going to be success, and obviously, this year does seem to be the year of retirements. But yeah, it's one of those where I think, it is what it is. If you're spending too long breaking down beyond why did Tenzan get the win, why did Kojima get the win, not Tanari, then you're perhaps looking for something to pick that really wasn't meant to be there.
Yeah, I think so. So, like I said, if I had anything, I would have liked Tanara to win here, but like you said, it might be coming at that last show, and if it does, that's good as long as they follow up and make a big deal out of it. So we shall see what happens. Had our first title match of the evening. We had several title matches on this show. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions Roppongi 3K Sho and Yo defending against Suzuki Guns, El Desperado, and Kanemaru. Our champions retained here, Ian, 16-25 via pin. What did you think?
It started a bit slow for me. I mean, they'd done all the stuff on the road shows where it worked over Show's knee. But for me, it just felt like these junior tag titles I'm having a very hard time getting invested in. They've been battered around a lot in the last little while. They're, outside of these teams, there's no really regular challenges. Okay, just had Phantasma Nishimori, but even then, it just seems to be a title which has been batting around the same 2-3 teams for forever. And it's like, for my money, it was a good match. I went 3.5 on it. But it's the whole thing of, it just feels like a match where it's Team A v Team B, adding Team C at the end, and you just keep going round. But it doesn't seem to be any kind of challenge for it. We've seen this before with the Never Six-Man belts. For some people, there's far too many titles around, and it means you get things like this where your division is just people who loosely team together and then pop up when, hey, we need a title match on the show. Well, here you go, pick this slot. I mean, I was looking at the stats beforehand, and I think they called out as well that Roppongi 3K had the belts 4 times and only 1 successful defense. Which to me would suggest that they're nowhere near breaking up, which is sad because I really want to see Show break out as a singles act. But yeah, it looks like this is what they're in for. I mean, the match made sense. They kept on the knee from the start. There's a few points I genuinely thought they were going to have Show tap, but yeah, Roppongi 3K stand tall, and I guess it's back to the undercard tags for Despy and Kanemaru.
Yeah, I largely agree with you. I liked it a smidge more than you did. I think I went like a 4th of a star higher or something like that. But yeah, you brought up the point about, I mean, Roppongi 3K have been champions 4 times. They had, before tonight, 1 successful title defense. So they overcame the odds here and actually retained. I thought it was very good match. I thought the story was good coming in. I thought they played off of it well. Like you said, I bought into show a couple times, almost happened, so I think that's good. But yeah, the division, and we've talked about this a lot, and like speculated on like a more open weight tag division, just to, instead of two tag divisions that kind of suck, let's have one that might be actually good. And doesn't seem like they're going that way. But I mean, at least the match was good. I mean, wasn't highly invested in it really. I'm glad it wasn't bad or anything, obviously. And then you kind of joked about Team A and Team B, and then enter Team C at the end, which led to the post-match where Taguchi arrived, and he wanted to talk with Rocky and told Rocky he's not a manager, he's a great wrestler, and that they should challenge for the tag titles. 3K kind of begged Rocky not to, but Rocky agreed with Taguchi, wanted the title shot. Yo basically said he felt a little betrayed, but they said that they need to feel like they will surpass Rocky, and they accepted the challenge. The one thing I do like about this is we're not immediately going back to Phantasmo and Ishimori again.
Yeah, I mean, we had obviously Taguchi and Rocky Ray were team during the Junior Tag League. They did fairly well off the top of my head. But yeah, it's kind of symptomatic of what I've just said. The Junior Tag League, the Junior Tag Division, we've just said it's Punky 3K, Despy and Kanemaru, Phantasmo and Ishimori. Perfect example here. Taguchi, okay, they were pretty much filler in the Junior Tag League. They did well, but in the end, that's what the fact they haven't teamed much since kind of tells you that. Be a good match. I mean, to me, I feel like this may be a match where they properly split Roppongi 3K from Rocky and Taguchi. The fact that Rocky's not been doing much of any commentary for the last little while tells you that this may be like a final hurrah in his career. I know Ring of Honor, that Ben vs. Now show, he's been booked on, I believe. So you can kind of tell that maybe in the background there's been some talk of, what happened to Macho Man back in the day. He doesn't want to be just a commentator. He wants to wrestle. Well, this is what you're getting. It's not going to be Rocky, in the junior title ranks, but he's going to be in and around. And I think this is just as good a spot as any. I mean, he's had more, championship tag partners than I've had hot dinners. So, what time's another one going to be?
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I like Rocky a lot, and I agree. I think it's a good place for him. And, obviously he worked the U.S. shows, and so he did a lot of wrestling on there and everything. And I like Rocky. I think he definitely has a place. And he's going to be a guy that when he finally decides he's done, he is going to be... He does a lot with the U.S. stuff as far as promotion. He's going to have a place either on commentary or in the L.A. dojo if he wants it. And I have no problem with him getting some run here if he's going to close it up. Because, you look back at last year's Best Super Juniors, I mean, Rocky had a hell of a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it was that fantastic win over Phantasmo, which I thought was going to be a time limit draw. And obviously the matches since then. Rocky, I think a lot of people, especially the new fans, write him off as, just a commentator who sometimes goes and does a wrestle. And I think stuff like this, if they've made the call to take him out of the booth for the next little while and actually have him wrestle, whether it's a final hurrah or actually get him back in full time, then more power to him. That division needs more, more varied names. I mean, we're going to talk about late, but him potentially getting a title shot, it's going to make for a nice little change when, Hiromu against Dragon Lee, against Robbie Eagles. It's not going to headline or potentially fill an arena, but it's going to make for a nice little change of pace compared to all the hard-hitting matches we're getting in that division for now.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see what happens with Rocky going forward. I don't think that's a bad match to make, though. Again, they were really fun in the Junior Tag League, so I have no problem with it. Next match, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, Juice Robinson, and David Finlay defeating Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, Yujiro Takahashi, and Chase Owens at around 11 minutes via pin. I thought they had a perfectly good little gentleman's three match here. Tanahashi picks up the cradle on Loa to pick up the win. And the big angle post-match was teasing the Golden Aces versus Girls of Destiny, and kind of also loosely possibly teasing a three-way, it appeared, with Finn Juice, the former champions, also involved.
I mean, great, it's two different teams in the three-way, but I mean, a month ago we were dead thrilled, Finn Juice won the tag titles. brand new selection of matches we're going to have. Tanahashi and Ibushi, first challengers, bit odd, but great, even more variety. And then, you hit that big old reset button and you're back to Guerrillas of Destiny as the indomitable champions again. I just don't understand why. I mean, in my mind, I thought it was being caused by, again, there's no reports of this, I'm just spitballing here, had somebody left who they had plans for and we're going to have to shuffle Tanahashi or Ibushi into their spot. I think Lance Archer was maybe the one a lot of people may have slotted that particular thing. But if they're still going ahead with a tag title match, why did they switch the titles back? It was just to give the Atlanta crowd last week a title change for the sake of one. I mean, yeah, these tag titles have been largely treated as disposable for a while, but yeah, just to me, that change makes sense. This match, yeah, it's a placeholder. It sets up, 1, 2, maybe even 3 matches if you do with 2 singles tags in a freeway. Tanahashi, dropping down to tags. I'd rather see him and Ibushi against Finn Juice than against the GOD, but yeah, I think I've said before, it is what it is. Get all books in mysterious ways, and I guess we'll find out, what his plans are, I guess, after the New Japan Cup tour.
Yeah, and it does feel really weird. It, like you said, it feels like they just they wanted to give the US a title change, and I hate that they went right back to Guerrillas of Destiny because it makes the Wrestle Kingdom win like it feels very WWE. Like, we're going to give you a moment, and then we're just going to take it away a couple weeks later for really no reason. And it just turned me off.
And again, to me, it just felt very much like, not to harp on about, but we watch World Tag League, we've got our little payoff, and then it's back to square one again. It's, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me. I think they said on the Road 2 shows that they are tied now with Kojima and Tenzan for the highest number of tag title defenses now, or tag title reigns, and I shall quickly check that. Tag title reigns
at 6, yeah.
Yeah, just check that with our buddies at the Cage Match. Yeah, they're up at 6 now, and Tenkoji got their 6th reign 3 years ago started, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was a match they throw into the anniversary show, in 3 weeks' time, see if they can get their record back. But yeah, it was, whenever you get a title change like that where, hey, it's a brand new dawn, you've got some new direction, and then it's back to the same old, it's never going to sit well with me.
I agree, man. It's like I said, it's going back to going back just to do it. I don't hate God, man, like the Guerrillas of Destiny and stuff, because I've seen they did some good stuff last year, but it's just, unfortunately, they feel really stale as the champions, and then like half their matches break down into the same bullshit with Jado, and it's like I was excited for something new, and they took it away from me already. So
I guess maybe touch on the news they announced after the match. Wrestle Dynasty in the Garden, August 22nd. Apparently that's the same day as TakeOver Boston, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's entirely innocent, and this is coming from somebody who usually accuses WWE of these kind of moves. Like, got 2 massive shows in the same part of the country on the same day. Yeah, that to me, not saying they're not going to fill it, but when you've got a lot of your potential crowd, potential audience going up to TakeOver, it's going to be a tough ask.
It is, because Boston is not that far away from New York. It's in the New England area, and I hear all the time about people that commute back and forth and stuff, and yeah, and just and a lot of that's going to be flying crowd anyway for SummerSlam weekend. So yeah, it's going to make it probably a little more difficult than they would like, I think, to sell. Maybe not the best move, but they announced that. They announced the G1 Climax starts in September in Osaka, and they announced some dates for that. And then they also announced that World Pro Wrestling is returning to Japanese TV Fridays at 8 p.m. in primetime.
Yeah, it's on the BS Asahi channel, so not a satellite channel from what I understand. But still, from what I've been told, that 8 p.m. Friday time slot, it's like gold dust. So yeah, it may not be on the Primo channel, but the fact they're back in the old time slot they used to have. I mean, may as well talk about. So, yes, I was at it was an screening, I should say, of My Dad's a Heel Wrestler, the Tanahashi movie from a few years back. We're doing some like Japanese film festival in London, and before it was a bit of a not an essay, not a sermon, but like a brief introduction about what the movie was, about what wrestling is, how culturally important it is to Japan. And there was a few people in the crowd who recognised, big wrestling fans, who try not to laugh because it's a whole, you try and teach your grandma how to suck eggs kind of thing here. But the one thing and this is from native Japanese speak, were telling us that wrestling in Japan is not as big as it was, in the 80s and 90s, which, yeah, I can believe that. I wasn't following much of the time. Well, I wasn't following at all for time, to be perfectly honest. But it's one of those things that, as the modern day, you've got a lot of, lot more ease of access to wrestling around the world. I mean, Christ, this show was on live. 10 years ago, you'd have been pushed to have to get it on, from a tape trade and maybe get it a month later if you're lucky. So it's that kind of, ease of access where for people like you and me and a lot of others, it feels, well, it's really big because I can watch it live. But maybe in Japan, yeah, we're seeing the bigger crowds. It's getting hotter, but maybe not quite the peak. Although, as I mentioned to somebody this morning on Twitter, the whole thing of what we consider the peak, you've also got to take into account the whole thing of numbers being massaged. Chris Charlton's book Eggshells, there's a lot of references about how crowds were artificially inflated, not in terms of people getting in for free, but they would get, I'm throwing numbers out here, maybe 30,000 people and claim 50,000. It's pro wrestling, go figure. But now they're having to be a lot more legitimate with numbers. So maybe we are a lot closer to boom period than we think, if at least in terms of live attendance, if not TV. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how the BSSI deal affects crowds going forward and general interest. Like I said, it's a golden time slot, and with the G1 coming up a lot later in the year than usual, that probably about perfect span of time to whip up interest and see if that translates into bigger venues being booked for G1 and bigger gates overall.
Yeah, that is. I think that's what everybody's kind of looking forward to seeing, is how it does impact business, because obviously, Wrestle Kingdom, I think we agree, did very well on the 2-night deal. I mean, with Dash, you did almost 80,000 over 3 nights. Again, they sold well in Sapporo. They sold out Osaka Joe here. And like last year, they were coming off an all-time year as far as selling live gate and everything, despite the fact that everybody was trying to tell you that it was like a down year in New Japan, that it's no good anymore. But yet they were still selling pretty well, and you look at live attendance and how important it is to various businesses, and WWE's live event business happens to be down, and they're doing less live events right now because of that. Because even the quote-unquote super shows with Raw and SmackDown aren't even drawing very well.
But again, it goes back to the core issue of the product. If the TV product isn't worth your time, you're not going to see the live touring version of it.
Oh, damn right. So, back to our show, though. We had tag team action. Okada and Will Ospreay defeating the Dangerous Tekkers of Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. just under 12 minutes. Thought a really good tag here. I enjoyed it. Went about 3.5 on it. I thought the best thing is the 4 continued their established rivalries coming into it. We have, I know you're going to Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay on the 14th, correct?
Yes, indeed. Be shooting off straight after work. Your call's only about 10 minutes on the tube from my office, so yeah, nice needs to get you after work. I've obviously made my excuse, my better half, why I'm spending Valentine's Day for wrestling and not with her, but yeah, it's we've come to an arrangement, shall we say.
So, I've loved a lot of the Will Zach stuff, just all the shit talking from Zach and everything. I think they've created a really good dynamic, and the thing I'm feeling, I don't know about you, the thing I'm feeling from this Okada-Taichi feud is, they tried to have Taichi come close and quote-unquote be on Okada's level in that singles match. I think Taichi's beaten him in the New Japan Cup. Yeah,
my take last week, they went just over half an hour in the main event on Saturday, I believe. 1 second. Sorry about that, my fault. Yeah, so they went half an hour last Saturday, And to me, it felt like they didn't need to go that long. Okay,
No.
you're elevating Tai Chi a little bit, and I think since then he's lost most of, if not all, of the matches since. And I think with this, the fact that Okada's beat Micah Drum, Okada's the champion. There's no obvious title match being set up, and obviously I think it's way too soon for him to go back into title contention anyway. It would not surprise me. Maybe not finals, but quarter of the semis. Obviously, they haven't announced the formatting. I don't think it's going to be that wild. Was it 32-man bracket we had last year? I could see it just being maybe 16-man field. But yeah, I think out for two for me, this was a match of two halves. I'm not keen on matches where they stick together two feuds and one's already been paid off to an extent on the tour. So the Okada Tai Chi stuff, I could take or leave. Sabre and Ospreay, obviously I've got the added investment of going to the rematch, but their stuff I was completely invested in. I think obviously we'll have Sabre come out a little bit later on, but I can see the title changing in New York Hall next week. Sabre's had that for a long little while, and it kind of leads on to something I said. That's something I'm going to be putting my preview of High Stakes on Back Body Drop this week. Sabre's had that Rev Pro belt for a long while now. You had the brief time when Hiroshi Tanahashi was our leader and never defended in England, go figure. But Sabre's gone on record, whether it's for a trolling interview or what have you, that he's not planning on coming to the UK often. He'll come if he's booked, but he's not someone who's going to be on every show. Now, Ospreay's based in Japan as well. He's not going to be on every show either. But he's been making noises about coming back over a lot more, whether it's for Rev Pro, whether it's for OTT. So I can see Ospreay winning that belt, if only just to be like an olive branch to Rev Pro fans who feel a little disgruntled that the belt hasn't been defended much in this country. I think somebody worked out that last year on the Rev Pro shows that the Rev Pro belt was last defended in the UK in March, and that was effectively a New Japan show in all but name. The show's called Ingobernables, for crying out loud. It was all LIJ heavy. So yeah, I think I could see Ospreay winning the belt on Friday from Sabre. And if you want to tie into Rev Pro booking, David Starr left the company last summer. It was that match that was completely divisive, the way they did run-ins and what have you. And I could see them rolling back to that, this summer. Do the rematch and maybe get the belt away from New Japan's clutches after all. The one thing I will say before I move on with this, I get why they did it, but it is not a good look for Rev Pro that the main event of their first big show of the year, they couldn't announce until 10 days out because New Japan had their stuff to finish. That bit for me just did not sit well for me as a Rev Pro fan first and foremost.
Yeah, I understand why, and that kind of goes into like how they would announce stuff in the U.S. too, because it's like you need to sell tickets, and not everybody is just gonna buy on the New Japan name. And like that Dallas show, the reason that G1 show didn't sell as well as it should have was because they waited so long to announce stuff, and I can see that as that's obviously a big problem with the Rev Pro thing right there because. Yeah, it would have been nice to have that match ahead of time. I mean, how's it looking? Are they going to sell out that show, or?
So I guess in Japanese terms you'd call it no vacancy. Kevin Kelly said there was south of 10 tickets left. I've just had a look on the Rev Pro ticket website, and I can't confirm or deny that. It's letting me buy no more than 6, but there's multiple blocks. So worst case, you'd say there's maybe 30 tickets left, but bearing in mind the build they've done to this and the card they've got, I mean, for crying out loud, if you're not a fan of Sabre v Ospreay, they've also announced LA Park against Eddie Kingston on that same show. So if it's I would be extremely stunned if we get to Friday and there's still tickets left to buy. Let's put it like that.
Yes, I saw the LA Park and Eddie Kingston thing, and all I could thought is somebody's going to die.
Well, especially it's an ODQ rule match as well, so that is going to go all over your call, and I'm very glad I'm on the balcony for that one. Out of harm's way.
Stay in safety, Ian. Don't make eye contact with LA Park.
Well, I'm not front row. I used to go front row for Rev Pro, but those kind of shows, I've seen what LA Park does. I have no intention of making eye contact, let alone grabbing his mask. Let's just put it like that.
Very good. So back to our show, we had Jay White defeating Sonata 21-55 via pin. Gonna be completely honest, I think you felt kind of the same way, if I recall. I wasn't really feeling this match going into the show.
Yeah, I mean, going in, obviously, during the early New Beginning shows, we had the White and Kenta tags with Sonata and Naito. Out of those tags, this match I was a lot more looking forward to because we had T-shirt Naito on those tags, and you know what you get with T-shirt Naito. I had a lot of tech issues during this one. My computer locked up, had to reboot a few times, so I missed maybe 2-3 minutes when I was trying to get the feed on my phone and on the computer. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this. I thought they were going to lay an egg on this. They didn't. No, neither of these guys, I'll admit, I'm huge fans of. They surprised me. The only asterisk you want to put it there, Geto's interference. Why? It's a match. There's nothing on the line. It's not like this was a top contenders match or anything. It just felt like Geto interfered once, twice too often for me. And it's like, you just don't need to do it. I mean, Sonata, okay, he got the monkey off his back when doing the Paradise Lock on Jay White, but there's bits about Sonata's matches, and you could maybe say the same thing, but definitely for Sonata. That series where he does the skull end and just goes, right, I'm going to let go so I can do a moonsault, and then 99% of the time he misses. Learn from mistakes? I mean, how many times has that been a thing and then he ends up losing the match? It's like for Kakeshi these days.
Although I think Hanma might have a better percentage on the Kakeshi than he does with the moonsault. Jesus. Overall, I thought it was really good. I do like the story that Sonata's like the big loser out of LIJ. Like, everybody has gold with him.
Yeah.
Like, what a fucking loser. Look at this guy.
I mean, it's up at the end, the sliced bread. I mean, and I'm not one for poking fun at guys for blowing spots, but how on earth do you spike your own head doing a sliced bread?
That's
like I've seen the gif. It's like, I get, we laughed about Kota. He did the backflip kick early, at Wrestle Kingdom, and somehow he punched himself on his head. I just don't get how, okay, Sonata doesn't do sliced bread often, but to do it in a match like this where it's not big world title shot, there's a new move thrown in for the hell of it, and to dump yourself on your head, it's like, maybe retire that one for a bit. It's not something you need, and personally for his size, that might be something played against him as well.
Definitely. It's like, I look at this and I completely agree about the Gato stuff. And here's the thing, it's like, I actually think Jay White overall is really talented. He has a great look. I like a lot of the stuff Jay White does. The problem with his matches, and it is evident in this one, is like you said, you didn't need all the Gato bullshit because this was technically not an important match. There was no title on the line. This was not for a title shot. And the problem is, when you do the Gato bullshit in every fucking match, it's diminishing returns. We talked about this at Wrestle Kingdom and stuff like that. And it's what honestly holds back a lot of Jay White matches for me. I like a lot of what he does, but it's just like, the overbooking is just so fucking repetitive. And for the most part, this was a strong and decisive victory for him. And it would have meant much more if Gato didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes, and I know this is going to rock people's worlds, sometimes it's okay for a heel to win clean and just be better.
Yeah. I think I've joked in the past, he's the Jeff Jarrett of New Japan these days. He gets all the running spots, he gets pretty much all the ref bumps. It's like, it's not to put anything against Jeff Jarrett. Jay White's a better wrestler in these days. Like, when you compare the run Jeff Jarrett at the time, he needs that more smoke and mirrors. Jay White doesn't. And the only thing I can think is, it nearly backfired here. I'm just kind of hoping there's been that talk of, he needs to establish himself as a big heel, then you become an even bigger babyface. I've got a feeling maybe not this year, maybe early next year. You keep chipping away, the Geto interference, nearly cost him. Could Jay White end up back in title contention and then it's one step too far and bang, there's your explosion and I would say just Bullet Club disintegrate. I don't think they're ever killing that thing off. makes too much T-shirt money for one. But could it be that maybe Kenta usurps him? Somebody new coming. I mean, in a year's time, who knows what the landscape's going to look like? But I do think, and this is me giving them benefit of the doubt, the constant ghetto interference and how it's almost costing him, that's got to be leading somewhere.
I hope so, because I think that makes for a really good story, and I think you're right. The other thing with me with Sonata is, and you kind of lightly touched on it, but, this fucker needs to get rid of using Skull End. Because nobody fucking buys it. All the counters are feeling so lazy and contrived these days. It's 800 versions to get into it. He almost never wins with it unless it's a fucking geek in a trios match. And I'm just I'm over it. And the weird part is it's I think obviously Sonata has a great look. I do think he's talented. He's almost a guy though I wish they could fucking send away for 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
And retool him and bring him back with some new fucking offense. Because he just... I don't know, dude. I'm not feeling it with him these days. The Skull End stuff is every time I'm recapping a match, working the counters. Skull End again. So-and-so escapes. Skull End again.
I think the issue of Sonata is that Skull End looks like shit most of the time.
That does not help, yeah.
When there's been times when you've seen, it's there's so much daylight in that hold. I'm not saying everyone's got to be snug and everyone's got to be potatoed and strangled for reals, but... the fact when you see that hold and who was early in the show they did a Dragon Sleep and it was that looked a million times better than Skull End, but it's almost got to be an accident. I think it was the New Japan Dad's tag at the start. I think it was Kojima. Yeah, Kojima had somebody in a Dragon Sleeper.
Yeah.
During the whole Nakanishi's got the Argentine backbreaker. Can we break it out? Oh well, not that kind of BS, but. The fact that Kojima that's not his regular move, and it looked a lot more convincing in a throwaway. Everyone's in submission holds. Who's gonna? He's gonna have to tap. It looked a lot more believable than any of Sonata's Skull Ends. I'm not ragging on him. He needs a different finisher.
He desperately does. And that's why I said it's I wish they could send him away somewhere for a while and let him retool and get some new shit. Because the worst part is you said sometimes he'll lock it on. There's all this daylight. The worst thing is when he takes it to the ground and he has his bicep on the dude's hairline. So it's the dude's whole head is fucking exposed.
Yeah,
I can see the man's face. How does this hurt? You're ripping his hair out, maybe? Someone's gonna get upset that they're losing hair plugs or something. What the fuck?
Well, maybe Tanahashi, but...
Hey, you do not say anything about Tanahashi's hair. He had a luscious pompadour tonight.
I think the issue with this is Sonata's already, quote-unquote, had his excursion. He served his time with TNA. He's been all over the place. I think if you send him... I don't think they can send him away, is the main issue. There's if you send him away... as the stage he is now, if you send him to Ring of Honor, they will expect, Sonata, the evil bellhop Sonata. You send him to, Rev Pro. He's already been there, he's main evented for small cockpit shows, but the people there will expect, the man with, the more expensive Eddie Dennis mask than, any new characters. To me, you're at the point where it is what it is in any iterations within the Sonata thing. I don't think you're going to get until he breaks free from LIJ, which may well be the thing because him and Evil, they've said in commentary, have been, 6 months without a singles win?
Yeah.
If everybody, Evil's got the trios title, and I guess maybe top out because we're not going to top out elsewhere in here. After the show on Thursday, they're pushing towards Taguchi, Yano, and Colt Cabana for a trios match for the belts. If those belts go, could you see Evil and Sonata maybe leaving LIJ, being kicked because everybody else, bar Bushi, but who cares about Bushi, has gold?
Yeah, I mean, and I've been speculating on that for a while, a possible break in LIJ, and I definitely think it's possible, and you need to do something with Sonata. And like you said, I know it's almost impossible to send him away at this point, but it's he's a guy that it's just if you look at the roster and you could say, give me 1 or 2 guys that need to go away and retool and come back, it's he's at the top of my list. Shit, send him to Shibata for 6 weeks. Just let Shibata kick the shit out of him. Maybe he'll teach him how to lock on a hold properly.
Yeah, let's just say back in the territory days, that wouldn't have flown.
Yeah.
Just the whole... I mean, I know... Remember when we moved to HD, was the whole thing of you need to make stuff look more snug. Well, I mean, we're in 4K, 8K in Japan nowadays. In fact, with you seeing that amount of daylight for someone's, supposed dreaded finisher, that doesn't fly anymore. But, yeah, it's kind of like beating a dead horse with Sonata. There's been others who've said that he's primed to break out this year. It wouldn't shock me. You tend to get these long losing runs because, well, if he does break out, it's an instant rematches, I guess. But at some point, when you've been beaten that long, people, it's going to be a lot harder to care.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with him, and we'll see if he does anything in the New Japan Cup this year and all that, and because he's had good runs in the past, and maybe he'll get a run for a little bit before losing again, or maybe they'll just keep the losing streak going and job him out in the first round. Maybe Taichi can kick his ass.
Or Taichi beat him away to Okada. Wouldn't surprise me, but then do we really want Taichi in the semis?
I'm not so much saying I want him in the semis, but it's just again, it's going to deter. I guess it'll have to be. We'll find out how many people are actually in it this year. So I don't know. But again, I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't throw it out the window. We'll see what happens. But we moved on to some really good shit next, though.
Oh yes,
IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Hiromu Takahashi facing off with Ryu Lee, retaining the championship 24 minutes via pin. And okay, first of all, just this was a very different, very intense Hiromu versus Lee match.
Yes.
The first 4 to 5 minutes were these two lads chopping the ever-living shit out of each other to the point that we had chest discoloration. They were just calling each other on, and it's just, oh my god, it was so great. And I absolutely love that, they went out, they traded Germans, they went into a double down, then they started beating the shit out of each other. So you didn't get that, super crazy start that everybody thought was coming. And
I think the start was sort of a German suplex, then some knees, and then double down, then it was 5, 6, 7 minutes of chops. And it's to me, that, and I was talking of you, but is this Hiromu trying to make himself numb for doing the Phoenix Plex later on? But, the fact that everyone's expecting, tons of flips, tons of flying, and yeah, you got that. You got, the Sunset Bomb, you got that absolutely insane Tope Suicida that I thought Hiromu may have broken his neck on again, that landing off the table. But, you can have, this shows you can have two guys who fly all over the place, but they aren't necessarily flyers. The same argument we've made with Will Ospreay. People think he's just a flyer, but he's got other tools in his arsenal. Same here. Even it means that they are, turning their chests into ground meat for 7-8 minutes.
Yeah. So it was rather wild. I thought they played excellently off their history. It really felt like they didn't miss a beat in terms of in-ring chemistry. So, I mean, that's just... And if you've seen the past matches, you know how good these guys are. I thought there was a lot of good intensity, a lot of great drama here. Love the teases of the Phoenix Plex / Dragon Drive, or whatever you want to call it, which is the move that injured Hiromu. Because the first time he went for that, my God, the crowd lost their shit. They, thought they were going to see a man die. And
I think that's a tease they need to keep building to. I mean, I know there's some advocate, hit it first move of a match and maybe, do a thing like Hiromu did to Kushida a few years back. But I think that's something you need to keep in your back pocket as if Dragon Lee hits this, it's over. But again, when you saw 2008, when he broke his neck, he hit the move, Hiromu still won. And I think it's that fast of a story you can still tell that maybe Hiromu is he's unkillable. Okay, he was on the shelf for 18 months, but he took, Ryu Lee's best and still came up, still came for the belt.
Yeah. And I agree. They definitely need to tease that. I saw a great speculation online that Dragon Lee wins the Best Super Juniors. They face off at Dominion, and that's when he hits it and he beats him. And then you build to the rematch, maybe at Wrestle Kingdom or whatever. So, I mean, definitely a lot of ways you could go to it. You could use that move to tell a big story. You can definitely keep teasing it throughout. There's just a lot of stuff you can do. I absolutely love this match, though. I thought it was excellent, and I mean, I do think in a way they went to it a little too soon. I don't think he necessarily needed to do the match right now. But then again, if you're doing it so Hiromu wins and maybe Riley wins the Best of Super Juniors, maybe that does work really well. But I enjoyed the shit out of this, though. I mean, fucking great.
Yeah, and again, we're talking Best of Super Juniors starts in May. So we've got a good little while. No, obviously Hiromu's got something else on the horizon, but I don't think there's going to be any more title defenses until Dominion in June. So who knows? I mean, we obviously need to see who's in the field for Best of Super Juniors. I do think this is maybe a title defense to kind of finish the story they were telling in San Francisco, but not really finish it off. The fact that Hiromu didn't need to do the Time Bomb 2. I mean, Christ, that needs a better name than Time Bomb 2. But he didn't have to go to those steps. It was just the good old stuff, Dynamite Plunge of a D, a couple of time bombs. The fact that it was the old stuff that beat him, maybe that's a sign that maybe Rio Lee needs to find the next step. But we all already know Hiromu's got that next step as well. So it'd be interesting to see if they meet in Best of Super Juniors. I could see that being actually, have they announced where the Best of Super Juniors is this year? Like where the dates for it? I'm just scrolling through New Japan's site now. Only up to Wrestling Don Taku's in May. So, they usually do. I think they usually start Best of Super Juniors in a bigger building. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was a block match, early on in the tour, or maybe even on final night. Final block night, not the final. And that'd be something where really gets his win, but it doesn't necessarily, give him the block, for instance. But there's a lot more talent. I think they said they've met 19 times in singles matches. And to me, this is a few, but it doesn't feel anywhere near like it's over or like it's, even running low on juice. Obviously there's real world stuff that's helped, but the fact that, 19 matches and it feels like they could go a lot longer, that's a sign of a really good rivalry there.
I agree, exactly. It would be definitely interesting to see how they book out Best of Super Juniors and obviously who will be involved this year. I think there's honestly a chance, I think, there's a good chance, someone like TJP will be in this year because he worked the tag tournament and he worked Super J Cup. Wouldn't be surprised, probably, get, Teton back, Dragon Lee. I wonder if they're going to try to get Amazing Red. Because that would be really cool and fresh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a year ago he was flat out retired, and then Will Ospreay dragged him out of it. The only concern that I would have is, would he be able to hold up to a full tour? Obviously, he's done the USA tours, the Best of Super Juniors, that's usually 18 nights, okay, half tags, half singles. I'm not saying he can't, I'm just wondering if he feels he would be up to it. The other thing I would maybe say in terms of, different additions to the tournament, there's been some speculation that David Starr may be in the tournament. Obviously, he goes back with Rev Pro. He holds the Southside title, which technically is a heavyweight, but I think he's also underneath that weight limit. Again, kayfabe, you can do anything. And was talk when he left Progress and reappeared in Rev Pro that maybe that was not hammering the WWE door closed and going where Rev Pro would take you. It wouldn't surprise me if he's in there, but then obviously that takes him out of any kind of bookings outside Japan for a month. Plus, he would be in the El Fantasma role from a year ago, with being a foreigner coming in, and for a guess and come out wrong. I guess David Starr has worked Japan in the past, but let me just double check for 1 second. But another name that has flown up, which, so he hasn't worked Japan in the past, but he's worked 2 shows in Israel, which doesn't surprise me. For whatever reason, Cage Match lists that's Israel. But the other name that has come up, which ties into the Rev Pro show this weekend, El Fantasmo, current Rev Pro Cruiserweight champions, defending against Michael Oku. Might be a bit bit early for him. Like Oku a year ago was a glorified contender, whatever people called. He's now not full time. He won the British J Cup back end of last year. I wouldn't be too shocked if Michael Oku found his way on that tour.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too, because I remember I reviewed the J Cup and I was wondering if he would kind of get the Phantasmo treatment and brought in. So, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to do overall, because, I mean, obviously, Liger wasn't in last year. He's not going to be in this year. And just, I think they have a lot more to play with this year, which is really interesting to me. And it'll be interesting to see also who gets frozen out. Like, does Dookie get a shot again this year, or is he left on the outside? Because, I mean, he was a replacement last year, obviously. But they seem to like him enough to keep bringing him back.
I think with Doki, he obviously was late replacement for Desperado. If you're looking at, was it 20-man field they had last year, 2 lots of 10? I can't see him being in it. He's lost. He's been eating every single fall in matches he's been in on the Fantastica Mania tour. I can't see him being in, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we've already talked away into saying that Trio Lee's going to win Best of Super Juniors anyway. So if you have 19 men in the field, it's going to be a crapshoot. Actually, looking at IMDb, the Fountain of Knowledge, apparently Michael Oku's 27 this year, so it'll be 27 by the time Best of Super Junior rolls around. That shocks me because he's really just come up onto the scene. Obviously I thought he would be a lot younger than that. IMDb may be wrong, and if it is, my big apologies, Michael Oku. Have a word of IMDb on that front. But yeah, in terms of experience on the UK scene, he's had a few years, but for the last 12, 18 months, he's really had big time experience. Whether that would translate into being New Japan ready, well, if you want to bring politics into it, he's also fairly regular with progress, and there's obviously WWE ties there. That may be one way he needs to make a call one way or the other, which door he wants to open, if any.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm interested in what the potential field looks like. I'm really interested to see how they're going to work the New Japan Cup this year as well, because it feels like you have a lot of names you could pull from for both, and just seeing how they're going to freshen things up, because obviously it feels like, New Japan Cup feels like Lance Archer is going to be out of the mix here, feeling with him looking to be gone and everything, and just I'm really interested to see what they do here, because there's so much damn talent on the roster and who they have available to them. So, but we will find out. I guess we're going to find out after the Nakanishi show at the end of the month what the field is, they said. So, we go back to the card. We had the United States champion Jon Moxley defending against Minoru Suzuki. They killed each other for 18 minutes.
Yeah.
And Jon Moxley retained the championship. And I'm going to tell you, I was a little surprised with that, because with him having the big title match with Jericho coming up and not being able to obviously work the quote-unquote New Japan USA shows, thought this would be the time for him to drop the title, but that was not in the plans. Ian, what did you think of the match?
So it was a match, I thought both guys clearly loving it. I mean, from the start, they were doing a chair duel and it wrapped up like that at the end. I was having more tech issues during this, so I missed bits of it, but was able to keep up. Yeah, this was one I had tagged in as just being like a good old, almost like a Bruiser Brody-like brawl, and they delivered. I think throughout the whole, obviously Moxley wasn't on the Road 2 shows, but they teased for table stuff last week, paged off here after Gino Gambino shot himself, and when isn't that fun? But yeah, I think for me the result was a lot more surprising. I mean, I don't know if that telegraphs Moxley's not winning the AEW title, or if they do get the belt off him, is it going to be in a freeway? Because to me, that United States title was created with the US expansion in mind. And you can't have a US title on a guy who can't wrestle for you in the US. I know there's all those question marks and rumour and what have you that he may have an out in his AEW contract from April. If that's the case, we'll see. It's only 2 months' time. But yeah, I mean, result aside, I thought it was absolutely fantastic as a brawl. I went 4.5 on it. I had a bit of a fear about maybe going higher, but it's the kind of thing for me. I thought, mean, this went, how long did it go? Went
1805.
That flew by. I honestly felt it was a lot longer. To me, I think the result kind of tells you they are done with hot potato in this belt for the time being. You have had a little run, obviously, with because of the Storm last year, where Moxley dropped the belt, where was it Kenny Omega obviously won originally, then Jay White. I mean, I'm looking for a cage match now, and you have that little spell where Cody had it, then Juice had it, then obviously Moxley then got stripped and what have you. I think this is them putting some stock into the belt. Like, you've got to remember, we're still at the early days of that US expansion. I think if you've got John Moxley having a belt now, he's had it, okay, he's only had it a month now, but he had it for 4 months beforehand. If he gets a bit of steam behind this run, the guy who beats him, if that's the guy who is able to defend around the States, I think that's, it's not this reign you're looking at, it's the next one, but again, that big question mark over AEW makes it a lot more intriguing of, does he hold on, and then all of a sudden in April or May, John Moxley's suddenly doing the new Largo loop.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's like, yeah, I thought this was excellent as well. It was just a wild brawl, and like it's like the best part is that it's different than anything else on the show because it feels so raw, and there's like an unmatched intensity between these two. Just like Suzuki firing up, constantly laughing at Moxley like his attacks don't mean shit. You have Moxley firing up, come on, motherfucker, and all that. Just all throughout, and I thought that it really felt like everything they did mattered to me in this match. It really did fly by. I thought they paid off multiple shows worth of build, like with that table spot and the early brawling they did to get to this match. And they delivered on it in the big match, which is kind of the whole purpose and how you build to a great match. And to go back to the Monster thing, it's like, it's so weird. He exists in this weird limbo between AEW and New Japan, even more so than Jericho these days. And he just feels like he's awesome at everything he does. And I thought Suzuki was amazing here, and it was great seeing Suzuki with all that fire, because like when he's on, he's still fucking great. I don't care if he's like 51 years old. He's a murder dad, and he's awesome. I was fully ready to embrace him as the king of the United States. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I love this, though. I was, again, a little shocked that Moxley retained, but, I mean, we'll see what happens here. And then post-match, though, shit got really interesting because something happened I did not expect. Zack Sabre Jr.'s ASJ ran out, laid out Moxley with the Rev Pro title and choked him out and stood tall. And that was not a match I thought we were going to see.
I don't know if they've telegraphed the Your Call match on Friday with that. I know there's a lot of guys in New Japan who have got, whether it's Naito set this new trend off. There's a lot of guys who've got designs on double gold. I mean, obviously Naito's got the 2 belts. Taguchi has got the Never belt. He's trying to get, once for Never belt, he's also in for the junior tag belts. Now Sabre with the Rev Pro belt, mixing in the US belt. I don't know if that's going to be the match. Like I say, Sabre obviously can work in the States. To me, there's something about like Sabre. This is going to be a match, if they do go ahead of it, it's going to be Styles Clash, and I don't know if it's going to be one that is going to go well. Like, I'm not saying they're going to do a go-to and lay a goose egg, but I think it's going to be one where you're going to be going in expecting Sabre to twist Moxley's arm off, and maybe he's going to go in and have to do not deathmatch stuff, but have to go through a lot more brawling than we're used to seeing him with. This match, it's certainly one I would never have expected to see, but the more I think about it, I want it. I think that's the key when you've got a roster this deep. That you can. It's nice to go from story A with hints of story B, then story C, but if you can get someone who's completely out of left field for a match like this, I mean, until that US belt's regularly on those US shows, why not make the United States belt a dream match belt?
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that right now, because you need to. I mean, if they have access to Moxley, and obviously because of his contract, AEW is cool with him doing it because of the way the contracts are structured. I mean, I think you use them when you can. And obviously, I mean, you look at this match, this was a huge positive addition to this show. And I mean, you can argue depending on what style you like more, but I mean, this was either your match of the show or your second best match of the show, depending on how much you loved Hiromu and Riley. So I mean, just Moxley and Suzuki was great, and then you're getting this match that, like, again, I don't even think I've ever considered it. And then Zack came out, and he's beautiful at talking shit, and there was already a backstage promo. I'm going to see if I can play it. I don't know if I think you'll be able to hear it, but Zack and Moxley with some brief comments after their match here. Let's see if I can pop this up.
Been a professional wrestling match, Jonathan. Have you got the techers to beat me? Because I don't think you have, darling. Huh? Jonathan Moxley. You want to come after my team? Huh? You beat 2 of my teammates so far. It's not going to be lucky third.
An interesting situation popped up. In the form of the human fucking udon noodle, Zack Sabre Jr.
I'm already in.
Yeah, I don't know what came across on my end, but I mean, Zack Sabre, you know, I think a lot of people from back in the day didn't put any stock in his promo stuff. You know, they just see him as, you know, the match wrestler. And if you just, you know, watch these shows with no sound or don't pay attention, you miss a lot of those glorious lines, like, you know, the Ospreay stuff early in the night, where he's, you know, calm, you know, all the stuff about being an idiot and what have you. That show, you know, obviously match on Friday, there's going to be a lot more of that. And if he loses, those meltdowns are going to be glorious. And to me, I think that's almost the direction you need to go. Have him lose the UK belt, and then build up to him taking out, you know, Moxley, who, I guess in his eyes, maybe kind of same level as Ospreay. But yeah, whenever that comes, it may be as soon as it won't be the anniversary show because that's a day before Dynamite. But, you know, whenever that comes, even if it's part of the New Japan Cup, you know, that's going to be one I think a lot of people will be circling and carving time out for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of excited for it. And if you didn't hear it, it's first of all, Zack was just being Zack with his banter and calling him Jonathan, and Moxley called Zack the fucking human udon noodle.
Well, he's put weight on, man.
Yeah, exactly. But no, just good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. So, main event of the evening, Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Naito defending against Kenta. We had all the Bullet Club assholes come out to begin. They were going to try to hang out at ringside. They made the mistake, though, of shoving Old Red Shoes down, so he tossed them to the back to allegedly give us a clean match.
Yeah, we knew how this was going. I mean, I really dug Kenta doing the old Shawn Michaels intro, you know, get down the knees. The only thing was missing was the pyro, but hey, New Japan budgets, they don't stretch to that these days. Wait until they get the blood money. But yeah, I think this was exactly what I was expecting. You know, Kenta's got his, you know, his template that works in New Japan right now. I mean, for the first 5 minutes they had touched maybe twice because of Kenta going out stalling for time. Gino Gambino, when Naito did the same thing, you know, it was absolutely fantastic. And, you know, his rage and, oh, you know, Red Shoes, you know, do something about it. Well, you know, it's that whole, like, and I think this is going a bit off topic, but New Japan have gone through a lot of English language commentators. And I do think Gino Gambino is one of those who is vastly underrated. Like, he's a heel when it comes to Bullet Club matches, but he's not obnoxious for the rest of the time. Like, it's like the old school where he's, you know, he's a heel for his guys, and then he's almost reasonable with everybody else. I think when we've gone through the likes of, you know, Don Callis, who did turn a lot of people off of his, like lecherous stuff at times. You know, then, you know, Lanny Poffo, the less said about him, the better. You know, in fact, we've got someone who seems to be in as a regular on commentary. You know, I think it's refreshing, and he's not just a guy who's just adding colour and throwaway comments for the sake of it.
I agree. I like Gino a lot. I was fucking dead on the Thursday show, though, after Robbie Eagles came up short to win the Trios titles. Because that match is like, if you guys don't follow, obviously Gino's Australian as well, and he dogs on Robbie all the time, because Robbie used to be a good lad, and then he left the Bullet Club. So he's dead to him. So Gino buries him all the time, and it's great. And like Ian said, he's only a heel in certain aspects. Bullet Club matches, obviously, and whenever Robbie Eagles is out. but it plays into it because that's an extension of the Bullet Club stuff. But Robbie Eagles puts in this spectacular effort in the trios matches. He ends up losing. And Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton are putting Robbie over, and they're like, Gino, even you got to be impressed. He's like, Kevin, I have something to say. He's like, Robbie put in a great effort. He's like, credit to his profession. And then he just snaps, like, but he's still a loser. He starts going off on him. I thought I'd die because he sounded so sincere for about 10 seconds.
And again, he's one reason, he obviously pokes fun at himself, as the obvious. I'm not going to go into it, but Chris Charlton on this show as well. I forget for lines. You're not going to get any. He's like, yeah, that's the line. But Gino Gambino, he's every Valentine's Day. That had me in stitches.
I love the running joke about Gino doesn't have a Bullet Club tracksuit yet, but everybody else does.
Or doesn't get paid, or...
Yeah. They asked him, didn't you do your video research? And he's like, I can't afford New Japan World.
Escape running the company now?
Oh, Jesus Christ. So yeah, this started off, this simmered for a long time. And they were building slowly towards the ending. And it started picking up. You had a lot of Kenta control, DDT on the floor, pretty much playing all the hits he had worked on the tour. And it worked, again, because the crowd was into it. The crowd hated this man. They wanted to see Naito win. And it breaks down towards the end. You get the ref bump. Jay White tries to come out and help. He beats the shit out of Naito. He beats the shit out of Bushi. Hiromu eventually runs him off. You work into a closing stretch. Naito got sent to the exposed buckles, busted open. Fortunate juice, we like to call it in the business. Red equals green, my friend. So it looked great. Kenta kind of ran wild at the end, and then Naito countered the GTS into a Poison Rana, hit Valencia for 2, Destino, and finally won 34-45 via pin. I definitely think you could make the argument it went a bit long because of that first 5 minutes. Wouldn't disagree with anybody that said that. But I do think that they did a really good job of building to the end. I thought the closing stretch was quite excellent at times, especially after Naito got busted open. I thought they had some really good drama down the closing stretch. Overall, I really liked the main event. Not on par with Suzuki and Moxley or Lee versus Hiromu. But I thought it was a really strong main event, and it played off of what they built to, and you got Naito his first successful defense, and his first win in a main event in the Sakajo Hall, which has haunted him in the past.
Yeah, I went for a flat on this. I mean, the first 5-10 minutes where it was just stalling, this didn't feel like 35 minutes to me. And when you've added in the first 10 minutes, it was literally just, walk around ringside, stall a little bit. That surprised me. I think with this, I had a lot of fears, like I touched on earlier, because we had T-shirt Naito the whole tour. Naito brought a lot towards the end. Obviously, the blood helped, that finishing stretch helped. But I think a lot's got to be said for Kenta actually, going from nondescript guy on 205 Live to a guy who they sold out Joe Hall here, 11,000 plus fans. And in fact, you've got a guy who really couldn't even buy promo time, when he was in WWE. Plus all the injuries, and now I wouldn't say you could build your company around him for the obvious reasons, but the fact that in the space of 6, 7, 8 months since he came back, he's become a guy who is pretty much one of the centerpieces of the company, to the point where spitballing, I'm thinking, is he the guy? If they want to usurp Jay White, is he the guy they do it with? Because you could make the argument, Jay White came in, tried to help, end up, smart with Duck for missed, but end up losing to Junior for crying out loud. I think that little nugget's got to be something you've got to consider. At what point does Jay White trying to help everybody else, whether it's through fair means or foul or whatever the intentions are, at some point that's got to blow up in his face. But yeah, I think this match, I was one of those where I expected to be slow paced. They weren't. It's a main event. New Japan main events don't go south for 30 minutes unless there's an injury. But yeah, it kept my attention. That finishing stretch, like I say, really helped. The one thing I did notice, much saying how Kent became this monster heel, a little bit towards the end before the Jay White stuff, the crowd was starting to die off a little bit. And one thing I would say is, if this wasn't for the belts, I would have been a lot more invested in Kent maybe getting the upset.
Oh, I think so, yeah, because I didn't think there was any chance of him really winning here. It just wouldn't have made sense.
And again, Naito's only just won the double gold. I think this is the problem, like, with a lot of promotions. New Japan have this issue. Anyone who books the belts carefully, when you do title matches, you kind of know when that belt is not changing hands. 99% of the time, they're not going to. They usually build up a challenger for a long while before you do it. Before you change hands of their belt. Like, Rev Pro belt. They're doing Osprey Sabre now. If they did, I don't know, Zack Sabre Jr. against, I'm just thinking of a random Rev Pro guy, Mad Curtis Chapman. If they booked that match, if they had a show, a week before, and they booked that match, nobody would give Kurt a cat and hell's chance of winning, because, yeah, if he won, people would pop, but he's not being built up. There's no challenge. There's no one he could bounce off with afterwards. I do think that's something that, because people have gotten very focused on long-term build, and obviously promotions have gotten focused on, well, he's our champion, he's the guy we're going to build up to be the next big threat. It means that a lot of fans can maybe look behind, peel away that first layer, so to speak, and realise that, well, this title defence kind of means nothing, because that guy, Ray did, I think we did a card to beat Taichi last year, if I remember. Taichi didn't have a chance to win because nobody bought Taichi as world champ. I think that's the issue. I'm not saying Kent's a mid-carder, but he's also not being built up enough to be, from one run-in spoiling Naito's big moment. I also don't think he was built up enough to be the guy to take the belt at this time. If they'd been dragging this out to, say, Dominion, may have had a bit more chance. But yeah, it's a very solid first defense for Naito, and built up to. It's got the mini 4 stops in Cork and Hall. That's going to be a build we're going to be fed up of by the end of the month. But the next big show, obviously, the 40th anniversary show, March 3rd, and big main event announced for that particular show.
That's right. So post-match, we got the Naito promo, and he called out Hiromu, and Hiromu arrived. Then traditionally, the main event of the anniversary show is the IWGP Champion facing off with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. So we are getting the Battle of LIJ on that show, as they accepted the match and had a little conversation. And I'm pretty excited for that one, because I fucking love Hiromu. And the thing is, too, is like, if you follow any of the path of all this stuff, Naito was so big on Hiromu. And it's just, obviously Naito picks his spots. We joke about T-shirt Naito, and I'm fine with that, because he doesn't need to be working hard and working all the time. He doesn't need to be trying to have a 5-star match in an 8-man tag that goes 8 minutes. So, I'm okay with that, but I think this is a match he is going to bust his ass for, and I think it'd probably be pretty great.
I do think with, obviously we've got the Hiromu Naito match that's been announced. There's also the few nuggets was dropped, was either on the road show, so after he won the belt last week. Shingo made that point of, he wants his belt, see his belt's the only true belt. And bear in mind that the boss of his unit has the 2 bigger belts. Is that can be something for the, maybe build up for the New Japan Cup as a match? Is that something they do Dominion, or one of the smaller Destruction in Bipu, whatever you want to call it? But, New Japan's one of those groups where they don't have their guys say stuff for no reason. When we were talking about, I want to win both belts, and the double gold thing was not even announced until, the Tag League finals, I believe. So, in fact, you've got, Shingo saying he wants his belt to be bigger than the world belt. Well, A, that's not going to happen. But whether he's setting up something down the line, whether it's now, whether it's when he becomes a big standalone star, outside of LIJ, there is something with him and Naito in the future, whether it's now, whether it's 6 months, 12 months down the line. But yeah, Naito Takahashi in 3 weeks' time. I think depending on which Naito we get, that's either going to be really great or it's going to be sort of good. I don't think the anniversary shows you rarely get stinkers of main events, and I think the key is what comes out of this, because obviously we've got the New Japan Cup starting the very next day, which when I saw that I thought that's I guess you always have to do the anniversary show on that date, but the New Japan Cup buffed and that close to the anniversary show. I'll be surprised if there's anything else on that anniversary show that tips anything else off, because obviously, like I say, the Cup does tend to set up a lot of storylines through whether it's people being eliminated or stuff that's teased through matches that could have happened but not actually play out.
Yeah, and you mentioned like New Japan rarely they don't have people say things or they don't do certain things normally without paying it off. They're normally excellent at that, and yeah, I think there's just we're in store. I think for a lot of potentially really cool things this year, and a lot of it I find really cool because there's teases at things and we have guesses at things, but there's not a lot of total locked in direction at the same time, which I think also makes it really exciting to see where they go and how they do it. So, but overall, I think the New Japan New Beginnings tour rather successful. I enjoyed. I thought we had a ton of great matches overall. And yeah, I mean the big sellout here to close things off, obviously a big deal for them. Again, announcing the Madison Square Garden show, announcing the TV deal on primetime. A lot of good things coming out of the tour overall, Ian. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, and I think the only down point, again, this is being selfish, no UK date, and I think speculation that that's been done because there's no backer willing to pay for it, but they don't believe it's the financial interest, which I was at the Copper Box last year, my place sold out pretty quickly. I hope that's something they can add on maybe before the G1, but the announcements had just on this tour alone. The Hokkaido tour, the first few dates of the G1, obviously the MSG show, the longer, the nearer we get to March, I reckon, is the less chance we're going to have any kind of those dates announced this year, which, bear in mind how much success Royal Quest was, I think it's a bit of a letdown. But yeah, I think New Beginning on the whole, fantastic tour. New Japan's back on the road, hitting the groove nicely after Wrestle Kingdom. And like I say, the next few shows, all at Korakuen, and 2 retirements in those next 4 shows.
That's right. And you know what? I mean, shit, I don't even live in the UK, and I want a UK show, because I love the atmosphere of that last year. I thought it was absolutely great, despite the fact that Fight TV sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I don't know if they're still doing this. I know today's show's on Fight TV, and I looked, they were charging us £20 for it, and it's like, guys, you can buy a whole month New Japan World for £8, I think is the current exchange rate. It's like, you either don't know, and I get there's a lot of uncertainty or degree of fear, I guess you'd call it, with fear for monthly on-demand services as opposed to iPay-per-view. But it's like, if you're paying more than twice for one show when you could pay, let's say £8, get the show live, plus everything else that's in the catalogue. I mean, I don't want to sound like Michael Cole when the WWE Network launched, mocking people for paying $50 for pay-per-views, but it's that same kind of territory. I mean, I know it's been a bugbear a lot of people have had with the New Japan World site that it maybe isn't the best being user-friendly, but, if you're the kind of person who's paying £20 for, the New Beginning in Osaka on Fight, maybe it's something you may want to look into, because why paying the equivalent of an Apple tax, Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know, man, but it's just we'll see what happens. Lots of interesting things. I do hope that, like I said, I liked that UK show last year. I had a great time watching it. It's like I said, Fight TV sucked though, but yeah. I do want to thank you again, Ian, for joining me. It's good having you back on. Since you couldn't join me last weekend, since you had to go to, I'm sorry, Mr. Ian had to go to live wrestling.
Yeah, it was a promotion pretty close to us called Good Wrestling, which is a really bad name in terms of searching for it on Google. That's by but goodwrestling.com wasn't taken, so go figure. Yeah, they had a no-ring show, which was in the back room of a bar. They taped down some yoga mats, I guess you'd say, and had like a really fun show. That's up on VOD now. We've got photos up on if you go on the website, backbodydropper.com. We've got a link to the photo galleries. I need to update the links on the right-hand side to the specific galleries. But yeah, it was a fun show. Then obviously Rev Pro for Cockpit, same day. That should be dropping on VOD some point this week. Hope to be able to watch it before High Stakes and get a review up. But yeah, it's one of those where, especially around TV, live wrestling just, it's either feast or famine. Obviously you've got Rev Pro, your call this Friday. There's another show on Sunday we're going to for Pro Wrestling Clash, which sadly it's their farewell show. They've been around about 2 years. They're calling it today. So we're going to their farewell. We've seen them a few times. But yeah, the problem is, London, even though British is supposedly dying, a lot of live wrestling in London if you're looking for right spots.
So was good wrestling seriously good? Like, legit question.
Absolutely. What I would say is, I know people dunk on like the Gatto moves, is the chocolate factory chocolate square, I think they call it, the weird living room building they run in. It's the same kind of thing where they, the space they had, no joke, was maybe 7 foot squared. Like if you were a tall guy lying down, you would have been in the crowd. The matches they had, you're not going to be getting 5-star, match wrestling classics, but just for sheer fun. There's one match they had was a. Did you see the Orange Cassidy show at WrestleMania last year?
Yes, I saw parts of it.
So they had Chris Brooks and Logan Easton LaRue in the best of 13 falls, of best of 13 counts, I think it was.
Yeah.
They did a cumulative 66 count match, which was fun, but problem was, the referee didn't know about it was actually in the ring with big air quotes around it. But they needed fans in the crowd to keep count because obviously 66 falls, you're looking at, over 120 counts, and the match ended 66-65. So, yeah, it would have been taking a monster ref to have remembered all those counts going forward. But, yeah, that show's actually up on Good Wrestling's VOD if anyone wants to see it. We're on Pivot Share, so it's either buy or rent for show, the whole back catalogue, goodwrestling.com, the links there. But yeah, it was a really fun show, something massively different. They talked about coming back late for summer with a second one. There's a few promotions in and around London talking about no-ring shows as well. So who knows, maybe it starts a brand new trend where you can do wrestling without needing a ring. Takes out a big expense, hey.
There you go, yeah, definitely. So, well, cool. I always like to hear about different stuff. But yeah, thank you again, my friend. That is going to wrap up episode 89 of the show. You can follow the 411 On Wrestling podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, and any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe and share the show around. And if you have time, just give us a thumbs up on the YouTube as well. I want to thank Ian for joining me. Go to backbodydrop.com to catch all of his reviews, and I will talk to you Wednesday night with Steve.